Welcome back, friends, and we're about to begin our first game of the day. Makes it all giddy here, and welcome back to the Command Center. I'm Medic, your host. With me are Demo and Exor Troika. Will be helping us and guiding us through our first matchup of the day. Very excited for this one here, the Wolves v Soniqs. And let's get started with Wolves, and they would have to offer, because yesterday was a bit of a letdown. I'll be very honest. Currently, after day one, which usually doesn't really amount for much, it's a bit of a one-sided game. But this is why we're here to break things down. Now, Demo, I turn to you for Wolves, our first team in this introduction. They got top decked and wrecked. No two ways around it. But was that more M&M playing well, or them having issues and stress in day one?
I would say Wolves. I feel as though me personally, I think other people as well, I think we've seen this would happen to Wolves from a mile off. I think the signs have been there throughout the year. Stage 1, really good in best of 1s, get to the best of 3, nope. Again, stage 2, best of 3, nope. Stage 3 again, best of 3, nope. The team just struggles with the map pool. They can't play in best of 3s. For me, if you want to win Invite, you need to have the map pool, you need to have the depth, you need to have the legs. You know, it's like Doki in a swimming pool. He's going to be out of his depth eventually, isn't he? That's when he's going to get to it.
Pretty quickly.
Quite quickly.
Indeed. Would you echo that?
The sentiment remains. There's no argument, really. You know, you can't debate the fact that Wolves have a shallow map pool. It is just a fact. They've basically got 3 permabans, and when you start talking about a 9 map pool and best of 3s, you can't have such a limited sort of option available to yourselves. And of course, then you can throw in the style of Siege that they play. I think the style of Siege that they play is quite an old and outdated style of Siege.
Yeah, it's Russian style, and it doesn't work anymore.
They like to play quite slowly. They like to go through the motions. They like to do the same thing again and again and have very sort of fixed and set patterns, so it's not a recipe.
Well, let's talk about Soniqs on the other side that are ever reinventing themselves. They've had a fantastic 2022 and an amazing day one against Team Liquid. Honestly, that series is really, really good, especially if you're an NA fan. But Ollie, there's definitely a couple outliers on Soniqs that really push them beyond the edge.
Well, I mean, we could say that EU have gone over to save NA. I mean, is that a storyline we can start to peddle already?
Yeah, we always do that, though.
We can't.
It's not the first time they import players.
It's absolutely not. Soniqs played really well yesterday. It was great to see. We actually got to go and stand by them in the player area for a little bit as they were playing. And the energy and the way that they were talking and the communication. I've not seen Citizen that hyped up in a very long time. It seems like he's gotten himself into a really good ecosystem there. And of course, you've got the rest of the team around him. I think Rexon had a particularly very good day yesterday. So I'm going to be looking for more out of those guys.
Rexer did incredibly well. Do we have graphics for this? Did you guys plan on something?
We have a little Citizen graphic.
Really?
Yeah, I wanted to just give him a little bit of a moment in the sun for his first debut on the Soniqs. And we really wanted to focus on one thing and one thing only, and that was the entries. Citizen can be a deadly entry player, and he was just that yesterday. He ended up going +5 on that entry kill statistic. We can see there, +5 on the entry. KD went positive, only played 2 maps, so we're not going to break any kill records here, but 82% cost as well. Fantastic debut from Citizen. I'd love to see more of it. I think the ecosystem that he's gone into, it looks like he's being really well supported by the rest of the team as well.
He's back to his best. He's back to his best, and it's great to see. I think for a long time, he didn't look as if he was happy. And I think as soon as the morale hits you, I think as soon as the head starts to dip, problems arise. I think you need to be in that good environment, because if he was in G2 and he wasn't happy where he was, you're never going to get the best out of him. That's a fact. It's like anything in life. If you're not happy, you're not going to be at your best. And I can speak from personal experience. I haven't seen him this happy in months.
That's true.
Just as a person, not in terms of him in the game, just as a guy. He just seems to be just living his best.
And it's a very good thing for the team morale, which Grixer has been keeping up yesterday, according to Ann and Fresh, who spent quite a bit of time around the player booth, and they were hearing Grixer kind of hyping up the entire team every time they did something well. Seems like this combination is working out for the Soniqs. We'll see how they do here in day 2. But since we're here, I would love to talk about the map bans for the series, because, you know, good vibes and all, very good for Soniqs. Not as great vibes if we're looking at yesterday from Wolves. And as Anna would say, they don't pass the vibe check. That's the usual thing we go up for. But I'm really curious if there has been any kind of oddities in our map ends because you both mentioned the map pool for the Wolves.
Yeah.
It's the map pool plus the morale that really it doesn't allow them to pull out of BO3 as well.
Another thing as well, I think that, obviously we can touch upon they can't play a lot of maps. I think yesterday against M&M, what were they thinking going to Chalet against M&M? That's like, you don't need to be an expert and behind the scenes of Wolves to know that you don't do that. I don't understand it from Wolves' perspective, what the thought process was yesterday. Like Ollie said, I think the style of stage, you have to come back to that.
Yep.
I think that they've got 3 really strong players. I think P4, Shinka, and Mowgli, they can play that aggressive rat playstyle. I think G2 has adopted very well already after the first day.
Let them loose.
I think that Wolves should be playing through the strengths, and I think the strengths is let Mowgli do what he wants, let P4 do what he wants, let Shinka do what he wants. This structured playstyle, get out the window.
They are 2 steps away from being the W7M of Europe. It's just because the way that the team is structured is very similar, but let them loose. Don't rely too much on the strat book. You have to react in the game.
Exactly.
That's old school.
Adaptability. That's why Brazil was dominant for the past 2021. It's
27
because of
years,
that.
yes.
I thought you were going to say 20 years.
21 years.
20 years.
To be fair, it's pretty close to that. So you see Wolves huddling together here, making some French jokes. I wonder what sort of French jokes do they make?
I mean, you speak a bit of French, Miloš. You must know French.
Miloš speaks French.
He's always surprised when he sees me speaking a language. And he's like, oh my God, I can't believe
I
it.
speak like 3 languages.
Learning a 4th.
I speak Spanish.
No, we're not going down that rabbit hole.
Una mesa para 4, por favor. A table for 4, please.
Thank you, production, for saving us. Or Vito is ready. Please, for the love of God, get us out of here. Everything that is holy, please help us out. So, map bans will just show up on the screen in just a second. And what is that? Kafe, Wolfpick, they start on the attack. Skyscraper for the Soniqs, and they start attack. And then our decider is Oregon, and the last ban was on the Soniqs. So that's a bit of an oddity, I have to say. We have to spend some time talking about this, but just a reminder, it's 9 map pool, 4 bans, pick, ban, and then decider. That's how it will be for the entire tournament until we hit our BO5 final. What is this map ban?
It's a very strange one, Miloš. We aren't really seeing top choice preferences for either of the 2 teams in the first 2 picks. I struggled to find the last time that Soniqs actually played Kafe.
But is it because the map ban system at SI this year is 4 bans and then 2 picks?
Potentially, but this speaks to me that someone's saving something, because Soniqs haven't played Kafe since 2021. You've got to dig back into the archives on Wikipedia to find any sort of record of that. You throw a Skyscraper in there as a Soniqs pick. It isn't a map that they absolutely love.
It's a map that Ben played a lot though in G2.
But well, that, and it's a map that Wolves really don't play. It's a permaban for Wolves, as are a couple of other of the maps. And then you come on to the good old equalizer of Oregon. So, I mean, the Oregons, it is what it is. It's just sort of there. But those first 2 maps, for me, they're the ones that we really need to keep a close eye on. Soniqs very rarely play Kafe. Are they hiding it? Difficult one.
After watching Wolves yesterday, it seems like they really need to get on the right foot, or else it's disaster.
I'm massively shocked that Wolves actually allowed Chalet to be let through in the opening phase as well. I thought that after what I seen from Wolves yesterday in Chalet, you get rid of that. You just want to forget about that map for the rest of the tournament, but they were happy enough to leave it open. So that kind of leads me that maybe Wolves, they're going to try some new stuff today, and I want to see them again loosen up like we mentioned before, Miloš. They need to just get rid of the strat book and go in and just play to your strengths. Let your rat players do what they want, and I bet you any money it'll get them rounds, it'll get them cheese rounds, and it'll get them map wins.
After watching Soniqs yesterday, seems like they can get in your head very quickly. And with someone like Grixer on the squad that also will be screaming out in his own way, you gotta account for that in some way here if you're the Wolves. But for looking at it from the, I guess, more micro map point of view, Kafe, surprise, yes, but what is kind of the saving grace for Wolves in this?
It's a good rat map. If you have, like I mentioned before, it's Kafe. You can do your jump outs. You can obviously play that ranked play style. That again, I think it's something that Wolves certainly could explore, and I think it's something that will help them a lot. Soniqs going into Kafe, like Ollie said, it's unknown to see how they're really going to cope on this map. But I think just the way the team played yesterday, if they can play the same comms, the coordination, being able to see opportunities and jump at it, they'll have no issues.
Well, because we're not coming back in between maps as we were usually doing in the past, Skyscraper is still a big surprise. Do you see that going one way or the other, Ollie?
Skyscraper is a shock, and something that we always come down to criticising on Skyscraper is teams' attacks, and something that we criticised yesterday from the Wolves was their attack. So I will be a little bit concerned going into that one for Wolves on the attacking side. Obviously, with bringing Citizen into the Soniqs, he's brought a lot with him.
Yeah,
he's brought a lot of knowledge and a lot of the sort of tendencies that EU players have. And
He
knows
Wolves.
He knows Wolves. He knows how to play against this team. So for me, I think that Skyscraper, a lot of it will come down to those executes. We've seen some quite nice bans recently on Skyscraper as well that can really sculpt the way that the map is played. So top black stairs can be a very difficult position and a very difficult place to navigate with a couple of choice bans in there. So for me, that's what I'll be keeping a close eye on when we look at.
Who wins it? Give me name and number. Game's ready.
Number. I'm going to go Soniqs. I don't think there's too much of a question mark there for me, and I do believe it will be a 2-0.
Demo lad.
Soniqs. 2-0.
Cool. Thank you very much. Anyways, friends, thank you for joining us here on the Command Center. We will head over to our casters. It's Emmy and Demo who's going to run over to the caster desks for that. So very much looking forward to it. Thank you very much. And for those on the other stream, we'll see you in a sec.
Thank you very much, Milos. And yes, unfortunately, Hap has a little bit of a stomach bug, a little bit of a sleepy head, so he's going to be resting up today. I will instead be joined by the man, the myth, the legend, Demo Lad, who is a bit of a throwback for me, and he's currently running around the analyst desk. I wish I had all the money in the world to cut to a camera view of Demo running towards this, but unfortunately I cannot bring that to you. I just do not have that in my power. He'll be here momentarily as he slips his way around. So we will be covering the two games I have today. Unfortunately, we're not on camera, so I can't even build this up with a drum roll or anything. You've just got to step in a moment, my friend. Hello. I don't know. Can't hear himself as at this moment. We'll get him.
Get me in. Ah, there we go.
There you go. Do you want to be seen by the people?
I mean, they just seen me.
No, I haven't been seen though.
Why'd you not get the single camera shot?
No, they said no. Then so we get the double. Hi, Demo.
Hello.
This is a bit of a UK throw.
We need to stop meeting like this.
Yeah, this is like 2 SIs in a row that you've had to jump in because Hap has unfortunately.
I do it all. I do it all.
You dance.
I sing.
You magic tricks.
No, I juggle.
You juggle?
I don't juggle. Who juggles?
Content team. Demo juggling.
Juggle.
Get on it. All right, so you've just had a fun conversation with Milos?
Something like that.
And
some hairy guy on the desk.
Two hairy
or
guys
something.
on the desk.
Yeah.
Two hairy guys on the desk. And you find yourself in a situation where you think Soniqs, alongside new addition, Ben, Citizen Macmillan, is going to be able to sort of run through this game.
Yeah, Wolves yesterday for me just were not on the ball. I think it's something that's been coming for a long time. They just don't have the legs, in my eyes, to really challenge for the championship team. I just think after stage 2, whenever they didn't do well at the Berlin Major, I would have thought, okay, that's whenever you start changing your playstyle. That's whenever you try and reinvent yourself. They didn't do that. They went in again, stage 3, exact same mindset, same mentality, so slow, doesn't have the map pull, and again, what happened? Inside of Yonkoping, sent home again. For me, if they were going to change it, they would have done it after stage 2. And I don't think they're going to change it again. I think it's going to be the same old Wolves, and they're just going to be so easy to play against. It's the reason why outsiders didn't make it to this event, because they were so easy to play against for a team like Secret, because you knew exactly what they're going to do.
Yeah, there's something missing. There was something that was definitely missing yesterday as well. You saw them suffer in their opening game, their opening showdown. Wolves were some of the lowest rated of any of the players that performed yesterday, and it's a surprise. Hey, Solus, get out of here.
Yeah, Solus ban. I think it's a great ban in terms of Kafe.
Oh, it was coming. After yesterday, it was coming.
You think about the way that windows work on this map, where there's a lot of jump outs. There's all that kind of goes into the rank style that you can play with Kafe. It's very different than what we see on the clubhouses and the Oregons. What's one thing that Solus is great at? Of course, you're going to say, oh, drones. Not just drones. excels in being able to see gadgets. One of those gadgets, Claymores. What do we have on Kafe? A lot of windows. Claymore in the window stops the jump outs. You can see what windows are Claymore to then pursue that aggressive playstyle. I think it's a very, very good ban. By Soniqs, because what did I say about Wolves? They will probably fall into that aggressive playstyle on Kafe. They will have to try and change things from what they were yesterday.
Yep.
I think brilliant insight from Soniqs. Love that ban.
I think one of the things that we saw yesterday, if you weren't quite able to make the first day of groups, was Solace was everywhere. The P90 was an absolute terror across the board. And Kafe, we even saw her getting live reads out the window, using that as the lean in for a jump out, or getting just freebies against the drone. Entirely right, and we'll see if we get the pressure cooking. It's not even starting on the top floor. Now, there was a point of this map that Jesse J. Chick, the NA babyface that he is, said, oh my god, Soniqs are on Kafe. They haven't played it since the previous team merger of E-United. It has been that long to have Soniqs on this map.
Yeah, again, I think Citizen will bring his ideas in. I think that's one thing that you have to mention. Obviously, Geo as well. I think TSM were a team that they were a good Kafe side. I think they were able to bring in a lot of that. I think you put the heads together of Geo and Citizen with their experience in this map and their respective teams. I think it'll be good. Obviously, we'll have to see how that works out, but I think at the moment, you know, Soniqs already with the bans, I think I'm impressed. I like the fact that they went for an Iana. Takes out 3 players essentially from Wolves, takes out P4, Shinka, and Mowgli all at once.
Yeah. Well, I mean, P4 was taken out entirely the game yesterday. He was the lowest performer, and here's something that we need to see come into effect here. I put it as my head-to-head before this game came together. I want to see how P4 and Citizen might hit heads. There's some familiarity here for the Guns of Wolves, and sometimes that works better. There's Rise. He has a habit of popping off when he's been popped off on a previous day. Takes the first, BB gets the second, Citizen off the back line. Suddenly the pressure's coming right down the side of Train. Gunner, he's looking for a fight round on the corner of Zulu. There's a swing onto Mowgli, who's tucked close in. They use his awareness. Yeah, fantastic play there from Gunner. He's going to pull himself back and make sure they can restructure the hold.
Look at this setup, by the way, from Soniqs. This is a mining and fireplace defense. It's not the reading. And Soniqs are essentially trying to hold about 80% of the map. That's something I don't see every day, and I don't think it's worked at the moment. They've lost 2 players. I think for this strat to stay intact, everyone needs to stay alive. It is almost like a Jenga tower. You pull out the wrong block and everything just tumbles with it. Wolves, I think, very on the money. Straight in, they see the weaknesses. They are able to separate the Soniqs players. Lack of refrags from Soniqs at the moment. That's why you've seen Gunner have to go for a swing to at least pull something back. But yeah, I think the aim for Soniqs hasn't worked out there for them, Fluke. And yeah, Wolves right now, all the case of it's just drone, find out where they are and get a plant down. There's going to be no real denial coming out from Soniqs. Gunner is not going to feel safe enough, I think, to use the echo cams. And there's only one C4, and look where Geo is nowhere in position to use it. Yeah,
the pressure is about to swing around on Geo, an important firefight, and actually pulled away from him. P4 doesn't want to risk it. 40 seconds, and they're going to start to structure themselves with the attack. There is often less seen on this side itself, so the pressure's going to come through, and Shinka's inside, tucked on the corner, but with Grigster getting the big one, Shinka needs to bite back and does. They rotate up towards the top. Gunner and Geo, both of them retaking this verticality, seeing if they can try and take some problems and find a little hole in the armor of Soniqs, but seems like the kid's going to get stuck. The angle comes through against it, leaving only Gunner in a post-plant situation. A bit of a spray, the lie down on the kid itself gets the final kill, and Wolves open up with a success.
As expected, I think that strat, as soon as you lose the first 2 couple of kills, it's difficult to get yourself back into it again.
Yep.
Again, like I said, I like the way Wolves approached that, being able to know exactly where the players were, get those opening picks, and they go from there. So yeah, shaky start from Soniqs. I would say they'll probably go a little bit more default now. I think they tried their exotic rounds, their exotic hold. And they'll probably bring it down the basics for Kitchen now. One point also I want to make about Wolves on a map like Kafe.
Throw it down.
I think they have the players to really excel in that map. I think you've got your Mowglis, I think you've got your P4s. I think Cafe's a map where, you know, the kind of crouch walk backstab element comes into it. And I think you've got the characteristics of players who can do that. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. No. On this map, you want to have those kind of players. Yeah. That's whenever you're playing to your strengths, and that's one thing that I don't think Wolves has been doing for the past year, is playing to the strengths of their players.
Let's see if Wolves can start to keep the sort of train moving here after they took the first round in. Train down, thank you, down towards Kitchen. And we're going to see Soniqs on, I'm going to say, a little bit more of a traditional side. I think that from at least most of the other regions, I'm not entirely sure on the exact statistics, but train room, the heavy machinery room itself, usually gets less of a face time with the rest of the board. But Soniqs don't really play this map as well, so I'm super curious to see just what they start to shape together. Here it will be, once again, a bit of a quick bit of pressure down onto the code check, seeing if they can check the player out, but it's a power position that's just going to be held around, tucked on the corner by Citizen. They have the awareness, they have the drones and the eyes around at the back end, so it's this, the famed pitter-patter rainfall take. Start at the top, slowly work your way down and see if you can control the space.
Yeah, on Kafe, it's all about time management. Kafe is a map for me that I don't think you can go for minimalistic attacks. I think you're kind of forced in to have to take everything you can. Just because of the way the roam works, 3 sets of staircases, a lot of verticality, you can get blown up from beneath.
Mowgli, yeah, pushing down, trying to get the chase. There's a second player that was ready and waiting for the swing round there. Rexon just escapes with their life. Geo still has the structure to offer this as a power position. It was mainly Rexon that almost got caught out there, a bit adventurous. Will they try and find an escape route? It's a bit dangerous. The shield is going to be put under a lot of pressure sooner rather than later. Shinka's going for a bit of width. They're doing some of that hard work above the site itself, and Rise is able to find Grixer, knocks them out of the board from above.
Yeah, questionable there from Grixer. Losing your life to vertical gameplay on Kafe Kitchen defense doesn't happen, or at least it shouldn't happen. And the reason why is if you think about Kitchen, all that verticality can be opened up from above. Soniqs know that, Wolves have done that. The way now you play Kafe defense is you just get out of Kitchen and you try and hold it from other positions. You can hold it from VIP, you can hold it from Coat, hold it inside a bakery. Yeah, it's just that they're losing picks here from Soniqs and they're not getting the refrags. It happened last round.
Yeah, Geo lost the shield. As I said, it's a point of big pressure. Still has some ADSs to buy himself some lifeline, and obviously the pockets that, well, they're now empty, but whilst he has a moment with the coverage and support here of the control they've got of Bar, where are they going? Back up top. See if they can maybe get themselves set up, get a surprise take, and try and bite back some of the verticality. It's time management, but time does need to be taken to get the top.
I hope the flanks are covered, because if the flanks are not, Geo can smoke 2 of them and then has all of the upstairs to play with. He has that verticality.
There's one. Oh, it's actually Geo's dug himself back in, though, but they're inside the site now. They push their way through into Freezer. Shinka once again with the kit. He's tucked himself in a corner. They have some of the angle to watch it from
Echo's
above,
dead.
but yeah, with the Echo off the board, they can only really sit and wait. There's a bit of movement. They suffer as they slip their way through. Citizen gets one on the back end, but it's a post plant. Citizen and Rex, and they're able to find one more. Suddenly, it's just Shinka locked in the middle of the site. They're going to see if they can find themselves just a little bit more safety on the back end of Kitchen Cooking. They're hopping their way over to Prep as the pings come through. Takes one to plant, one to defuse, and as they take the drop there, Rexon's just going to keep the cover close by. There's a bit of a jiggle fight. Citizen on the back end of the hefty chassis. They need to try and cross this, a no man's land, or they just cross the bullets on Bibu's head. Or Shinka even.
Wow. Great retake from Soniqs. Top drawer stuff, losing the first 2 opening picks. I think you have to give Geo some big credit there for getting at least that first kill back in the favor of them. I think getting that first kill whenever you're kind of in the mud just helps you tenfold. So yeah, all credit to Geo getting them out. And then you could see the composure from Soniqs. What's one thing that they had the entire time during that? The Valk cams, the information.
Well, I guess we'll see how this goes. There has just been a technical timeout. I saw things get paused and waited for the confirmation. Technical timeout after this. It's on the side of Wolves, so seems like something is wrong with Bibu's side. We'll hopefully get that fixed sooner rather than later. 2 opening rounds, though. One going either way, both from having a plant in. Wolves definitely feel like there's more structure and bite towards their approaches than there was yesterday. I mean, it couldn't be much worse than it was yesterday.
Yeah.
But it is feeling like they're a little bit more like they're feeling this fight.
Yeah, it's a better approach from them. I like the way that they're not sitting back waiting for things to happen, which is what I think just that's what beat them against M&M. M&M's a side that you have to give respect to. I think the fragging potential on that roster it's unreal. It is. Sometimes you think Solotov can just kick off any moment, and look what he can do. And I think Wolves felt that yesterday.
Yeah.
Today, I think for Wolves, getting off the right start is crucial. It's everything for that side to give them a bit of hope after yesterday. Because, hey, it can't be easy after what happened yesterday to come in today and play against Soniqs of all teams as well. It's probably a team that you want to see.
Soniqs on the back of a Liquid defeat yesterday as well. Soniqs were able to handily take control of what are a favorite team for a lot of Latin American fans, for a lot of fans around the world. You look at Team Liquid as one of those big contenders, and it's not that Soniqs...
What, contender for second place again?
How dare you? It's
wrong.
not that Soniqs aren't a favorite. For me, actually, they're my favorite NA team. If I think any NA team at this event is going to lift the hammer, I would put
my horses on Soniqs.
Yeah, because
And this is...
yeah, I would say I'm the same, but that's just because I have an investment in that team.
Yeah.
In terms of one player, and that's really it.
You do.
You know?
You are famously... I enjoy the team. I think there's a really good dynamic. There's great energy behind the team. I think from watching a lot of teams play Siege across the year especially, they're one of the teams that they kept trying new things.
They did.
There's never an end towards what I enjoy Soniqs doing.
Yeah, and obviously we've seen them this year. They were a good side. They were a good side. Think about the roster move. Could you get a better trade player for player? You getting Super. No offense to Super, right? He'll admit this himself. He ain't Citizen.
He's co-streaming now.
He ain't Citizen.
If he's admitting this himself, he's co-streaming.
Yeah,
Right?
he's not Citizen, right? You think about Citizen.
No, I'm just
what
saying.
he's been able to do. You know, it is an upgrade. It's an upgrade. It's an upgrade. Sorry, Super.
I mean, it wasn't technically that wasn't the swap though.
But yeah, but you know what I mean. Like Super's out, and you know.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, there's still a face of the team. I still think what the players do in a map with Soniqs, more than a lot of other teams, you can see the hard work that gets done behind the scenes.
Oh yeah.
By the team behind, by Goddess, by Super, by Joe Bro, by the team that helps develop alongside the team. It's so apparent in this. It's like you get here's the 5 co-authored by, and it's why they're just so exciting to watch, because it really is that mechanical, that heavy brain side of Siege comes together. But
They're up for it. I think
They're up for
the
it.
win yesterday, it's just going to help them massively. You know, that first win is the most important.
well, let's see how this goes. Now, Solace did get a lot of play yesterday, and someone else who did is in the pockets of Gunner right now. His army has been a consistent break in what there is a lot of angles. There was some
She's the
banning.
most played operator so
Yeah,
far.
she is the architect of the current sort of gameplay of Siege. If you think about how before his army there used to be these long extensions with angles and ideas, and Mowgli finding Rex, and as we started off once again, Mowgli having a bit more of a bite today, Azami allows those big spaces to be played and changed.
Third opening pick for
Yeah.
Wolves. Again, Soniqs not the races in terms of getting those opening entries. But obviously Wolves, you know, we've seen that they struggled closing it out the last round. So let's hope they can do a better job this time around. I think Nomad should be just ran all the time from Wolves. I think it's going to help them out a lot. You know, we've seen Soniqs, they're eyeing up those flanks as best as they can. We see them use the staircases really well. You need to have some form of protection in that department. So I hope we see that trend continue with Wolves. We've got this upstairs hold, of course. You know, this classic mirror window setup. You have to kind of go through that. But once again for Wolves, in straight away. Nobody up here fighting against them. They have free range now, a full minute to do the vertical work and then eye up their plan. Like right now, if you're Wolves, you're feeling good. This is exactly how it should go in your head. This should be the step-by-step process.
A little bit of a lull, a little bit of a hold as they start to get a better idea of quite where the placement's going on. You can never count off the ideas of C4s in pocket, and as they start to break and batter their way across there, as Grixer ripped and ready to go. Waiting for the ping, we heard one pre-place pop off there, didn't quite get the full catch. The second, well, they're going to wait for a bit more of a rotation. It's just that consistent audio the players above will get that only really puts a bit of fear. Look at the time though, 30 seconds. Push has to come to shove.
And also keep in mind, look at Rex, and he's using the default cam. That tells me there isn't actually any good Valkyrie cameras that they're using because P4's been able to disable them. So that's a bit of a difference that we have now that, of course, Wills didn't have in their last attack.
Pressure onto the reading door. They're trying to formulate themselves straight through towards the default plant spot and tuck it in. Shinka, he's got himself in pocket with the cover of the door itself and vertical under their control. This is all in, but look at the rotation round on the back of his army. They get the down on one. They can't quite get the lock-in from the second, but the kit is out of pocket down on the floor. A quick pick back up, a quick coverage now. There's BB with some control over to the side of Laundry. Geo, he's digging his way through. He's able to get the care and gets the drop on the door player. They're going to the shotgun. It's locked down. Geo gets the pieces over the line.
Wow. Again, Wolves. The flanks. It's happened again to them, Fluke. How is the flanks being allowed to happen at such late times? I'm looking at Goddess's expression. Even Lauren's thinking, how have we got away with that one? Because Wolves should not be losing from that position. All the vertical done. You've baited out the C4s. There's no C4 denial left for Soniqs, and they still botch it. I don't know. And yeah, timeout as expected. I think you needed this now because that's a tilt. That's a tilt round.
I mean, 30 seconds, they had themselves set up on the new back, they had themselves watching down towards the pillar's door, but a couple seconds too late. If they were in position a second earlier,
they might have been able to stop the swing. The downed player was able to call this as well. The downed player got caught out. It was a bit of a pick back up from the player around getting the kit. It was, as you said, Soniqs. They bit themselves background into the map. They had some control. They just didn't cover their own end. Wolves.
Soniqs are playing the way that I love seeing Siege be played, and that is just make the play. You have to do something. You know, look at that flank that we've seen come in. You just have to go for it. You know, what ones if he just sits back and sits inside of train? What do you get? You have to take big chances like this. This is SI. You only get one chance at this. Well, if you want to walk away from this game, if you're Soniqs, oh, I wish I did this. You don't want to leave anything. You want to put everything you have into this game.
It's a long road to another SI. And you're not even guaranteed it. Look at, I don't know, the previous champions of the past 2 SIs. They're not here. For context, if you're watching your first ever SI, welcome. This is game 1 of day 2. And the reigning champions couldn't get here, and the champions of the previous year couldn't get here.
No Mickeys.
The team that was 2nd place last year isn't here. You never know how the year will herald.
Yep.
Unless you're Jackie and love star signs and know everything.
No, it's weird to see, you know, some of the big teams, and instead we've got Crappy.Secrets appears. How does that happen?
Don't besmirch Secret in a game they're not.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Secret later on. I am. Looking forward to it.
All right, Soniqs, let's see what the take-two here is. This is obviously, of the 3 rounds, the only one that you've lost so far. What's the change? What's the force? And what's Wolves going to do? What do they do after the attack timeout? What do they talk about? Maybe we need to kind of get our heads back into this. Soniqs are, as you said, running a little bit rampant on the roam, and that's why BB might have stepped up with the Nomad here. Get a little bit more control. Get more of an idea of just where Soniqs want to be and how you can stop them. Because most of these roams and flanks that we've seen over the past 2 rounds, they're either coming quite late in the round, or in the case of the kitchen hold, with a 2-body deficit was when the strikes started to bite themselves back in. They still have, obviously, the Azami. They have some structure here on the top, and Rexon is giving themselves a little bit of a fortress, but it's to try and draw this attention. The shield as well. They're really stuck down hard here.
So going back to this site again, into the mining. Obviously, they've changed their ideas up. They're not going for that extension with the mirror this time around. They've also sacked off the Echo. I think the Valkyrie's done them really well. I think you can see the information they've been able to gain early on. It's forced Wolves then into always picking IQ, and apart really from the gadget, IQ ain't bringing you much. Again, the opening kill goes in favor of Wolves. That is 4 times in a row. I think Soniqs should be questioning themselves there, the fact that they haven't got one back at all during these couple of rounds. Don't tell me that's a missed drone. Don't tell me there's a missed drone. This could be huge from Geo. Tucked in, somebody bait it for him. They know there's one top white. P4 has eliminated that player. And now Geo's in the middle of it. There's one behind him. There's one in front of him. He takes the shot, but no, I think he's going to get cleaned up here.
Yeah, Shink around on the back. He's able to pop it again.
Surely not.
Geo should not be allowed to get away with that, Wolves. And suddenly all the intel fell away from him, and he just didn't care. Got the C4 on the first, swung around to the fight on the second, tucked in waiting for the crossing of the guard. There's a rotation towards the top of the skylight as well, but look at the time that is ticking away here. A 3 versus 2. Wolves still have the man advantage, and they're using it to put the pressure onto this. The sole player up here, they don't quite escape the position, but Geo almost once again could have controlled a round.
Yeah, shouldn't happen. But it has, and, well, Grixer, 20 seconds to hold out. LMG in hand. All Wolves need to do is literally stick together. Don't give them the 1v1s. Make sure you get the trades and win the round. It should be that simple. They know where he is now. Just a case of getting the kills. There we go. Easy.
I mean, you say easy. It's not been an easy road.
Hey, for a team of this caliber and what they've done this year, it should be easy.
It's true. I think they're the 3rd seed, maybe even the 2nd seed over the whole year. One of only 2 teams that was at every single major throughout the year. I guess there's, you know, things to be said that often where Wolves fall apart is in a best of 3. Whether that's a reference to map pool or exhaustion, you can never truly know the full read on the data. They're good at best of 1s and getting themselves out of groups, but after that is where things have really come off the wheels. This is their map. This is a map, again, for context. Soniqs technically, now obviously there's been big roster changes since then, technically haven't played this since a merger about a year ago. Maybe even more. I'm trying to remember. how long ago that was done. 2 years ago?
Yeah, well,
Time
obviously that's, you know, Super picked up 4 people in one stage.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of where it, you know, started from there.
This is finally the moment where, you know, it's on the board. They could have technically banned it. They want to find themselves here. They're going to Skyscraper next as well, which, you know, it's a good Sonics map. It's not a good Wolves map, I think, is the idea there. You never know unless you're in the ban conversations with the team, but you would piece it together that they're banking on the weakness of Wolves on Skyscraper more than I would say them going, this is our sort of hottest map.
Yeah. Anywho, I look at Sonics and I'm really shocked that they haven't went top floor. I think
At all.
There's a personal preference, I think, with teams where they think it's either hit or miss. I think some teams will love top floor. They think, you know, that's where you need to go first. But there's some teams that actually just detest it and just don't go there.
I think it's more common in EU as a first pick.
It is.
And definitely Latin America and NA.
Mostly just because getting into that bomb site and getting spawn peaked is the tricky thing in EU. That's what you struggle with. But yeah, hey, it's their rotation, their map. They can go what they want to go with, and they're back down to Kitchen, which was a round that Wolves should have been winning. They should have been winning from the position they were at last time, having 2 kills, 5 versus 3. All the vertical done for them, can easily plant, but just no flank protection.
Mowgli almost suffered the wrong end of the stat for the first time of being negative on the entry. It's something actually where, technically based on yesterday. Oh yeah, this is sudden. There it is, the nuke. Can't quite get the shots locked, the swing round, and Rexon finally breaks the curse. P4, things well away, and another wheel falls off. Mowgli caught out by Citizen Sonics for the first time ever. Not only have the entry, but the follow-up. They are now sitting in the 5 versus 3 situation.
That's what I want from Wolves. I want the rat play. Stuff like that works. He just missed the shots.
He did miss.
You know, that's all you can say. He needs to be hitting those, and that would really open up Sonics. It would create a bit of chaos, a bit of panic in the roster, but nope, they've lost it now, and I think Sonics are in a very good position. Wolves are really going to struggle to break through this. Gunner finds another one. Shinka sure he gets it back, but the damage has been done, and with a minute to go, Wolves have nothing. They don't have a Scooby-Doo what to do now.
Shinka suffers the long-range fire from the back end of prep. There's a shotgun. That doesn't quite get the full meat. Rise does find one on the back as well. Citizen's gone out of nowhere. It's a 2 versus 2 with 50 seconds. Wolves, they've been able to bite a bit, but with Geo still on the board, you never can tell. And Geo's going, well, I'm going to see what's upstairs, up the top. There is a lot of soft above where they're positioning themselves. Will he get the call? The plant played for a second there, but pulled back off. They're cautious of the swing that might come around either side. Are they watching on a drone at this point, or any bit of intel? They're sort of just tucked around. No, it's just Rexon. Tucked around in the corner, Shinka. They're going for the plant. They're hoping that there's no full awareness on where the player is. Rise, he's watching around the back end. They've got to make a move a little too late. Does suffer a scrape. There's a rotation coming around the bottom of red. I think at this point they're trying to pinch out the corridor on the back end player. There's Geo. Gets the kill. The SMG with Rexon in the site, and Sonics are now at 4 plants. 3 of them Sonics have won.
Geo can't get away with this. Geo's walking in the gunfights, and I don't know. Rise should be nailing him every day of the week.
Call him Geo Magic.
Again, Sonics, the fact that Wolves are even allowed to get back in there is questionable. I think the refrags from Sonics hasn't been too good today. I think they've been allowing Wolves to pull back kills and never really getting any in exchange. I think that's one thing for me. I have to look at Sonics and think opening kills and the refrags.
I think there's a modicum of that is the awkwardness around this map. I think that there's still signs of the confidence that we had from them yesterday. There's still those moments the big team play, but Kafe can be an awkward map if you're trying to get yourself into a refrag fight in certain positions.
The thing is, for me, they're losing 2 players who are both beside each other in Bakery, and they're not refragging each other.
Yeah,
that's for me. You know, I get what you mean with, you know, it can be.
It's just
by yourself.
Good play space. Yeah.
I think there's a few times there that the refrag should have definitely happened. So yeah, there's just minor things that I'm picking up on. Now we go to what we were waiting for is the top floor. I'm surprised it didn't come out sooner. You've got Mira open for top floor, which is one of the most toughest things to play against. The Mira windows for top floor are extremely good in just denying access to piano.
And Azami. I think Azami.
Azami speaks for itself.
Yeah,
Azami, look at all the tables, look at all the chairs you have in piano.
Exactly.
It's not a nice place to deal with. You have to invest a lot of Gaunt 6s, nades. Keep in mind, Wolves are already going to be crippled in the utility department because they're forced to run an IQ because Valkyrie's been there. Like I mentioned before, IQ doesn't bring anything apart from the gadget. It's going to be tricky for Wolves to really break that down. You're telling me you want to use the only explosives you have in the form of nades to really waste, you know, get rid of those Kiba barriers. They can't afford to bring the Sophia, they can't afford to bring the Ashe. I guess I'm just surprised when they see it earlier because you play to the ops that are open, in my opinion.
Yeah, you play the game ahead of you. And that's always the thing. And obviously we're at a point now with the game, with the meta and with the amount of operators that conversations have opened up towards widening the ban and the amount that you can sort of limit and play because there's a lot of opening. Hey, talking of, Rise does find Geo, almost finds Gunner as well as the second fight here. The Nomad on the window, an operator that since they've suffered the back-end rotation, well, that's one way to kill the guy that's really rotated around the back end of you a few times here, Wolves. Grixer, they're holding close just underneath, but look at this, Mowgli on the Nook, being droned ahead, trying to find the steady fight. There is obviously the Valk that's waiting for some awareness. There's a bit of intel, there's a little bit more. They're going to try and take the fight through the soft, no, but in the meantime, Gunner's taking one and Mowgli gets the important kill on the back end. Look at this though, the kit in the top left, P4, he's going for the plant. In the meantime, he's just tucking it right behind the mirror window. Rexon pops up, gets the kill, and gets that broken backwards. They can't use it to see him from the window.
What am I watching? What's going on?
You almost missed it.
Like, they've just been able to swing in top heaven. They've tried to stick the defuse that got denied. He's going for the same defuse again. Rexon, just do the same again, you'll get a kill. Oh, no! Diffuser being planted to him.
That's it, the diffuser's planted. They have Shinka up here on top, watching from the skylight. Rise is on the windows itself. They have the body count to try and throw somebody at this problem, and Rise knows this. So he goes in, but gets knocked right back out. There's the movement, and there's Soniqs! 4 plants, 4 diffusers, only 1 finding success after suffering the entry almost every single round.
They can't keep getting away with this.
They have.
They can't.
Like, you can say that, but they have.
What was the approach for Wolves? Sneak a plant against a Valkyrie and a Maestro and the mirror windows being up. Was that the idea? I feel as though information has been top draw from Soniqs today. Nothing's really slipped past their nose. Anything that moves, they know about it.
Welcome
I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
Welcome back to casting. You get time to have a bit of disbelief here.
Just
oh, it's rough. There's no sort of two ways about it. Okay, Kafe does lie itself well to defenders. There's a good balance of defensive.
Yeah.
Can move in on this. Is that me looking for band-aids for a problem? Yes. Wolves, as you said.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say you're looking for. I think it's fair enough.
No, but
like
I wouldn't say that that's the big reason that this is falling apart. Because Wolves got the plant off 5 of 6 rounds.
Wolves have. What's the best way to put it? I feel as though they've tried to focus on the plants a lot, rather than the important things like the flanks. That's you know, there's been a few rounds that's really killed them in that department.
It's been rough. It's been rough for Wolves, and obviously it couldn't have been rougher than it was yesterday. They find themselves here trying to piece things together in a problem that, I mean, what is the problem? It's a lack of control over what your opponents are doing. It's a lack of face. They have the defense working for them now. They have a little bit more wiggle room. So what will they build behind it?
Lineup from Wolves doesn't scream this is a top floor defense. Again, Azami missing, Mira missing is the 2 big ones for me. No Valkyrie as well. You know, not really opting for that. Citizen realizing that Nook's open straight on it, knows it's going to be great for the Kafe. Can just crouch walk yourself in. We've seen that already, what Wolves can do in that department. Bibi needs to be careful because Citizen is right beside him in the next room. There's a likelihood that Citizen could get 2 here.
I mean, if you have the first like that through the soft, Citizen pulls themselves back in. You can see some awareness and attention is being paid now towards the location. Bibu, the calls are coming through. They know he's close. He's holding the angle. He's waiting for some wiggle room, but Citizen doesn't really have to do too much right now. He's drawn the attention, the focus on the fire, and he's sort of saying, come find it. P4. They went to creep their way down white to offer some support. They're concerned about the window. Geo has that. A little bit on lock, but as I said, there's always the danger here with the jump outs.
It's an east side plant. That's happening because look where the diffuser is in the hands of Geo. He's on the east rappel. They are making sure that Citizen has the stable control of beneath before they go for it. He'll hear that. The Dokkaebi call's going. Don't worry about that, Em. He knows exactly what he's doing.
Yep, he knows where he is. He's tucked around on the hard wall. He's drawing attention. They're going to see if they can try and swing for the push. They rotate around Zulu instead of going via pillars. They're inside the back end. Rexon goes for the fight across the board, but it's Citizen that finds Bibu. That's in reading underneath. They've got that now, but Mowgli and Rise have won back a piece of consistency with Geo being ever consistent as ever. And if this is the game of back and forth right now, the
Skylight drop
versus 2, they have themselves set up. Rexon, he's still trying to just hold the other side of the Aruni gate and see if he can get a bit of wiggle room and swing, but with 40 seconds, you got to make that kit move, Geo.
Still have time. I think good composure now for Soniqs. They've gotten their kills. They have the man advantage. Sure, the initial attack didn't work, but now they realize there's nobody actually stopping them from dropping in towards Cigar Shop. Now it's a 1v3. Geo's going to get the plant down, but Rexon holds his nerve. Brilliant round from Soniqs from start to finish. And it's exactly the way that they played yesterday. It's the way we thought they would play. Look at Citizen below. They're trying to go for the east side take. They know immediately, okay, what's the one thing that's going to stop us from doing that? Any guy with a C4 below. Okay, let's send Citizen downstairs by himself, but not really by himself because they have a Dokkaebi. That's kind of like having a friend, like a ghost companion who, you know, kind of follows you around. You can hear if anyone's near. He's downstairs, and you've seen the way that Soniqs, they all stood and wait until Ben says, I am ready. Nobody moves until everyone is in position, and then they execute like that. Sure, it didn't really work, the initial idea of planting on east side. It doesn't go ahead unless Rexon gets that first kill on the guy inside a cocktail, but they still get the kills to back it up. You know, Citizen downstairs taking on an army. Then really good composure, looking at the clock. Okay, we've got 40 seconds here. Let's figure out what we want to do. If we know they're towards the east, let's go towards the west. Let's go where they're not. Drop in towards red, get another plant down. Great round. Loved it, love it.
Love it. The kill game has been better from Wolves throughout this. It's not entirely as doom and gloom as it might have seemed yesterday, but the longer this goes on, the more Sonics can keep just driving this home. That second map is going to be
They're going to grow into the series, and that's what Wolves do not want, is to give them a better confidence behind themselves.
Timeout's already been called by Wolves. Oh,
exactly.
A while ago, the timeout was called, back when we found ourselves just 3 rounds deep, I think it was, and here since then they've been able to get one more directly after that, and then it's been a straight run of 3 in the pockets of Sonics. Will they find themselves knocking on 2 map point after this? The losses that were faced by Wolves yesterday, they were 3-7 and
Mowgli, no.
Oh, Mowgli shouldn't have really been able to take that. Takes a lot of damage on the back of that. A rare whiff that we've seen from Sonics throughout the gameplay so far, but to be fair to Mowgli, he has been quite sharp. It's really been where the structure of the map has fallen apart for Wolves.
What?
Yes?
I just shouldn't happen.
No, but it does. And I mean, to be fair, a lot of this game, Rexon,
He's in.
He's in. He's got 2. The Ashes decide he wants to go towards the site. Loses to Mowgli inside coat room. And then Grixer and Citizen get 1 apiece back. Suddenly P4. Everything to do here. 3 kills are necessary to see if he can try and keep them off map point and give themselves a bit of a breathing room. But look how much time there is. Sonics are not stressed at this point, and they're more than happy to stretch that out and try and use the full use. Grixer doesn't need it. There's a drop. There is Sonics. Still putting that pressure on now. 6-2. 4 rounds, 4 opportunities. But find themselves angling closer and closer to another 4 points.
The more I watch this team, the more I fall in love with it. It's my kind of team. The way they're playing the siege. Someone makes a play. Everyone's ready. Everyone's following him, jumping on that opportunity. He's walked in, found 2 kills. Look how quick it is for the rest of them to get in there. 5 seconds it takes them. Oh, you need to be hitting those, right? And also another thing, look at the time difference. Look how quick Sonics are in, knowing exactly what they need to do. Look how long it gives them to actually figure out the final plan. Wolves didn't really look up, you know, for a plan until about 20 seconds, and that cost them a lot. Sonics are on the money. On the money from these attacks. I've been very, very impressed. And you know it takes a lot for that to win me over.
I mean, it does. You've also got to look at the structure of the group as well. Obviously, on the B stream, you know, Dire Wolves, they didn't play yesterday, they're playing today. Liquid aren't playing from the group today. M&M and Sonics both got a clean 4 points yesterday. If they both do the same thing today, suddenly you have 2 teams on 8 points, 3 of them on 0.
Yeah.
And you're thinking this is dangerous because there's only 3 play days left at that point.
I think there's definitely a big possibility that I think M&M and Soniqs are eyeing up potential 1 and 2 seeds. And again, I think M&M today have quite an easy game again. I think no harm to Direwolves. I think the way M&M played yesterday.
It's not even about that. Direwolves, obviously, they've come in with an analyst. They're sort of having to put a little bit of a piece together roster here based on unfortunate circumstances. They'll still give it a game. They always have. But it's not a full-strength Direwolves, unfortunately.
So, yeah. Soniqs, 1 more round to go. Top floor is where they head again. East side take. Immediately you can see that. Good little tip for anyone. Just have a look. Whoever has the diffuser, that's generally where you're going to see the teams try and push from. If you see, Geo towards maybe the rooftop or the west side, you wouldn't expect your more traditional piano takes. Looking to plant in towards the trash corner inside of Long Bar.
People who play ranked, sometimes the Nook having the diffuser isn't always meaning that the round's going to be thrown.
Trust the process.
Trust the process. Trust the process. And
but yeah, I'm strange that Ben has it and not Geo.
C4 catches out Rexon. We've seen a fair bit of that utility thrown around, not a huge amount. Yeah, blown off the side of White and instantly rotated and pulled away.
Slight issue as well, that's nades gone. Citizen just used his other set of nades. Essentially now, the players from Wolves are going to be safe to kind of stand on the floor. Don't have to stand up on the bench. They can stand safely on the floor. They're not going to get picked off.
Citizen has dropped down. He might try and rotate himself up White stairs. They've got a different body and replacement that's heading over the top as well. They're reimagining the approach. In fact, it seems like they're going over to the windows on the far end.
Okay.
To see if they can try and reevaluate. I mean, a minute 20, you've got to, at that point, you've lost your lead, as you said, you've lost the nades as well to try and force those players out. There's still a lot in here, though. The Azami, as we said, just revolutionizes this room.
Now, the strat is, it's not really a strat, it's just you just have to get the gunfight against Mowgli, essentially. Or Rai, should I say. That's all you can do. You have to move in there, you have to move in towards Piano, and just win that engagement, because you don't have the nades anymore because you've lost Rexon early. You're not going to be able to plant inside of A. You cannot root the players outside a cocktail bar. You have to be forced in Piano. And there you go. They take the gunfights and they win it.
They win both, and suddenly, with 50 seconds and Gunner now buried inside of Freezer.
Where'd he come from?
It's drug and dug his way in. I think he came from the white window.
Surely
just
not.
beelined it across here. Mowgli. He's got himself tucked background. He's looking for the engagement, but it's long range, and he suffered the end of it. Bibu's had to rotate his way back up from underneath as well. 30 seconds. And you can see Soniqs, they're still just trying to fish for some space. An important take. Mowgli bites back, takes that player out that had somehow dug themselves into the core, and now the pressure can come from elsewhere. They have some drones, some intel, and here goes Citizen, the Nook. They're going to see if they can just try and tuck a plant here. Hidden by the cameras, hidden by the coverage. The flashes go out. Citizen suffers a scrape, just gets caught by Mowgli. Grixer gets one back, 10 seconds, with Bibu getting one more and one more. Wolves, they find their 3rd round.
Yeah, that C4 kill at the start, you can see the impact that it's had. Wolves being able to eliminate Rex, and you don't have the nade. Soniqs have to kind of go for plan B. It's just winning the gunfights. And I think Wolves were good to realize the position that they were in. You see Mowgli, whenever he was, this swing here especially, he was actually sat kind of at the back for a good 10-15 seconds, waiting for, I think, was it Bibu, coming up the back stairs on White to make sure they can get the refrags, make sure that they can work together, which is good. I don't want to see Wolves jumping the gun. Let them plant if you need to. You've got that extra 45 seconds to have your retake.
I can only assume it was from the white window swinging, because we saw that's where the C4 kill was, and then they moved away. There wasn't anyone that was specifically on Lumber on the top of White to try and swing it. They had the player, I don't think there was anyone on Pixel either. I think they just had the quite aggressive Azami inside Piano around the sort of Christmassy corner.
Christmassy corner.
The Christmassy corner with the tree. It's very thematic. But that's, I mean, where else would they have come from? They were able to cut across the entire core of the site.
A mad one, isn't it?
Seeing that opportunity and taking it, though, it takes a lot of sort of team play. It takes a lot of building, and it's risky, but that's what the team's been doing.
This lineup from Soniqs, big switch up. Monty comes in.
Extended barrels.
I'm trying to figure out what's the go-to, because I don't think it's something that they need. Like, it's, I think Monty kind of comes out whenever you are struggling with roamers, for example. I think that's when we generally see teams bring it out to gain themselves a bit of map control. I think Soniqs have really struggled with that. So it is strange.
I mean, this is the thing about them is you can have a look at a Soniqs game from one week to the next, and they'll, on the same map, play very different things, and that's to throw back to the comments I made earlier on in the game. That's what I really enjoy about watching them, is they're as malleable as the game and meta allows them to be, and then some. But seeing where the Monty can kind of go, the kit's been passed over the hand, they can either utilize it as a sort of blunt object and have it as the moving wall with the cover either side and just sort of force and shepherd the players. They might even try and position a plant. We saw them try and get the Nook in a little bit off. They were about 1.5 seconds off of it, but there it is. The lockdown, the reveal of the player on the far end. They're looking for an edge. They're hoping they weren't seen there, but Citizen might get a cheeky grenade underneath if they get the call on the right player.
He's not looking for an 8 kill, he's just looking for a kill potentially in towards Train. There's someone right beside him. There we go, tosses it free. Impact beside him. Oh, a close one. Mike dumps just to get himself out of range. Mowgli, though, will open up. Once again, Wolves on this opening kill department has been great.
Did he get Rexon on the window? I think
he did, yeah.
He was able to just keep on firing, get the kill on the far end. The attempt at the cover on Citizen, who, as you said, Mac dumped to get himself out of there. Again, Wolves have been very good on this opening kill. It's just when the formula starts to come together for the plant is where the coverage drops off. Talking of Rise, moves away instantly from the Monty. There's some time that can be wasted here. We're about to pass into the final minute of the round itself. There's pings on the player underneath, but it's not a quick movement. Grixer gets Mowgli back to a 4-4.
So it's going to be a fireplace plant from Soniqs. I think I can understand why they've brought the Monty. If you think about that single wall downstairs inside a fireplace, the reinforced one, if you can open that up and you can have your Monty just stand in the way, you can get a successful plant down, kind of in like a blind spot where they can't really touch you. Very close there from Grixer. I'm surprised his head hasn't been taken off. Gunner, though, fine Chinky. He's in the sight all of a sudden.
How do they keep doing this? Above the hatch, gets the drop on the player. Gunner is just cruising through reading, but the only book is how to kill French players. Bibu, he's in a 1v1 with a Monty. Doesn't get it. Geo with the wide swing, and P4 in a clutch against an impossible object. Soniqs 7-3 on a map that they haven't played in a very long time, but my god, did they play it today.
That's twice now where Soniqs just appear out of nowhere. Where they just, I don't know how they're getting themselves in these positions. I don't know what it is from Wolves. Someone's not clocked in. Someone's missing something here.
We'll go to a quick break before we're back with a breakdown and map 2.
I'm Nicholas Morton, but you know me as Pingu. I'm a 2-time Rainbow Six Siege World Champion and former top Rainbow Six Siege player in Pro League. Welcome to my Siege Ranked Bootcamp. We're talking 20 seconds left on the clock, you got the diffuser in hand, what do you do? Play the way that you're comfortable with, because you have confidence when you're in this position, that is when you're gonna be at your very best. Good luck.
welcome back here. As you can see, the players having a little bit more of a conversation as they get themselves sort of sorted out and balanced. I'm not entirely sure what is being pieced together, but we'll hopefully be back in with map 2 sooner rather than later. Map 2, it's going to be a big moment here for, obviously, Wolves.
Needs to be, because right now, again, for Wolves in a similar position where they could walk again after a full day of play in Siege with 0 points. Happened to them yesterday, and I'll be honest, I think it's going to happen to them again. I think Soniqs have really shown their grit. I think they've improved on a lot of weaknesses that we've kind of mentioned throughout the past year. I think the adaptability from Soniqs has been second to none today, being able to think of, plan B, plan C if needed. The retakes, I think, from Soniqs as well were excellent, controlled. Don't rush things. Wolves, on the other hand, flank protection was all over the show. Not being able to lock out those rounds, of course, from 5v3 positions. And it's strange because for a team that we mentioned is so structured, and if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. They're taking multiple inches and they're still losing the rounds.
There was a thing before the game started that we got from the audio of Soniqs that was apparently a war chant, but it was a very silly one. I'd hope we have another recording of it or something on socials. Apparently it works though, so maybe that's
like a hacker.
Yeah, but like a little one. We saw war paint on teams' faces yesterday.
Yep.
On Dark Zero. It worked in the end.
It almost didn't, but yeah.
It came together. Warpaint is still an 100% success rate, and here, 100% success rate, well, it's definitely not Wolves. It's planting. If you missed the first half of that game, Wolves got the diffuser down 5 times of the total 6 rounds, 4 of them. Soniqs then came back and got the diffuser and diffused it. And it's just, that is a huge problem for Wolves.
It is, and it's strange because, like I mentioned before, a slow-paced team who's supposed to be controlled and do things, to a T, everything has to be perfect. It's a worry. It is a worry. Skyscraper, obviously the next map that we have to go to. This can, again, be a map which I think is very unforgiving in terms of being able to close out the plants. I don't think we'll see as many plants as what we do see inside a Kafe, mostly because Skyscraper, I think, because it is so small, more gunfights. It's very rare you would see the diffusers be planted, especially with how the meta's changed, which hopefully we'll get into. I'll mention kind of the little changes that's happened within the past 3 months on Skyscraper as well, just keep everyone updated. But yeah, you don't see the same Skyscraper you would have seen a while back.
I think that's the thing about Skyscraper as well. There is on certain sites similar sort of problems. There's certain angles where if you lose sight of a player, if you lose control of a player, they can do similar things that we've seen Geo just do on the previous site, which is rotate your way back into an unforgiving corner, an unknown location, and cause devastation. Wolves have to have their head screwed on with this. As I said before, Soniqs coming here, for my money, isn't really because it's, this is one of our strongest maps. It's because it's one of Wolves' weaker.
Yeah, you can pick a few from Wolves in terms of weak maps.
Yeah, but this is that sort of, when you get the circles and you cross them over and you look for what's in the middle. Skyscraper.
Another Yana ban. Similar trend. I wonder if maybe again...
Doesn't matter when...
See the Souls ban? Could happen.
This Valkyrie.
Another thing that I didn't get to mention as well with the Souls ban on Kafe, and it came out, of course, from Soniqs. What was one operator that Citizen just was excelling on? Nook. People don't know, you can see the Nook gadget if you're using Souls' gadget.
Yep.
So it's a hard counter. It's a hard counter. So you can see that, again, I think Soniqs they're really trying to just benefit themselves as best as they can. Is just remove counters from operators that they will excel in, Nook, of course, being one of them.
Not to put you on a spot. So you're saying all of their bans are built around Ben Citizen Macmillan?
You play to your strengths.
Your favorite player?
You always play to your strengths. And that is what Soniqs are doing.
Yeah, okay. I just want
That's the way it works.
Because I want to get the quote.
It's.
I want to get the audio.
You just have to, I think if you're Soniqs, you have to realize the player that you have in your hands. And he is special. He's special.
Yeah, I'm generating the quotes for when you eventually make your documentary about Citizen, the greatest of all.
I've known him the longest out of anyone.
Biography by Demo.
People forget that. I know it was original. Yeah, he wasn't originally called Citizen, by the way. I know the original.
Oh. Let's not reveal it, though.
No, that'll be for the documentary.
That's for the documentary. Tune in. Coming to a screen near you. Hey!
Maybe Chambers will bring me on after he's lifted the hammer, and we'll find out then.
What screen? Oh, you're calling Soniqs as the winner. Oh, we'll get into that later. What screen are we looking at? We're looking at the one in karaoke. What's the lyrics? Wolves on defense. Will they be able to get a little bit more out of it? We didn't get, obviously, the full taste. Only one round of the 4 we saw on the previous map.
So this is where the meta's kind of changed with Skyscraper. One big change that people might see is if you look at karaoke bomb site, if you look at karaoke, you will see that there's 2 reinforced walls towards top black. I'm sure in many people's ranked games you would open the left side up, put a deployable shield, and try and hold the staircase. Not anymore. Top black staircase takes are so easy from an attacking perspective. All you have to do is clear the shield, and essentially you have lost full bomb site control. So teams now, you reinforce it off, you don't give them access to that. If teams want to take top black, then they're walking down Death Corridor, which has about 20 different angles you can get shot from. So the name of the game is extend the dragon, extend the drum, and hold all your worth.
And that is why the takes sort of turn into this. You will start on the opposite end. You'll see it for a lot of teams on the opposite end. If we swap over to this as the site as well, build your way east to west, to west to east, depending on where the eventual location is. Get yourself in just to the top, the red square, the stairs there, and try and swing against the shield in Dragon is a lot of teams' first point.
And another thing as well with Skyscraper is I feel as though Geisha has just been forced by the defenders that the attackers have to go into Geisha now. I think that is the room that you must take. Reason why we're seeing bandit bans sometimes in Skyscraper is to stop the bandit tricking. You know, the Geisha wall can be bandit tricked very easily, which I'm sure we'll probably see P4 do. So it's actually warranted bans because of that.
All right, Mowgli, will you be the first point of call? The entry statistic, and your statistics, to be fair, I believe you were the top-rated player from the previous game based on the old graphic, and you need to see if you can try and keep that up and hope the rest of Wolves can get the pack behind you. Gunnar, he's looking for the first fight right against that Azami. He's going to give himself a little bit more wiggle room and width. Citizen is on the line. They can try and pop some control here of the space and see if they can go for a bit of a 3-2-1, but look at this. The support comes back round. They're buying as much time here as possible.
Again, another worry. No nades from Soniqs, and those Azami barriers, they're going to be tricky to deal with. They are essentially 2 big deployable shields that you can hide behind and play around. So I think Soniqs trying to brute force their way through that. I don't think it's going to work.
They went for the pickup there. They covered it with the smoke. They're going to hope the player drifts right back in, but Gunnar doesn't have a huge amount to work with. Neither does the Azami. They're just buying themselves a second. Mowgli sort of went, I'm out of here. Too much pressure, and fair enough. 2 minutes have ticked away. You've got 1 kill out of it. Look who's gone. Half of the hard breach. Now Geo is going to have to see if he can try and utilize that. The dedication comes towards Geisha. As you said, they're going to try and force it, and the defenders aren't going to try and force anything back. They've pushed into drum as well. Suddenly they've swung themselves here from a single front. There's Citizen getting Mowgli off the back of the board. Pulls away before he suffers on the long-range fight that Geo is going to see if he can try and step back into. There's movement underneath from Gunnar as well, who takes care of Shinka, pushing up the core of the stairs as well. They said, well, we've kind of drum. We're going to beat you all over the opposite side, but Bibu, oh, he's around on the back stairs, slinks past the barbed wire, gets the drop onto the first, has the cross angle. Citizen, he's going to have to try and fight his way out with the angle towards the stairs. Geo going down, though, with a little bit of a sliver and a slink on the way back. Can they try and find a way into karaoke? P4 has a different idea, locks them out, leaving just Citizen left standing, gets 1, looks for the second, cannot quite find it!
Close. Very close. That flank from Bibu really shut them down. I think, again, the time for Soniqs just didn't have enough of it. Soniqs going for that sweep across, which, again, is expected, but they just don't have the utility to go for the Azami. Only had the 1 set of nades. It was used very early on. I didn't even really see... didn't really see the nades be used by Gunnar.
I'm wondering if it was... because they opened the wall on top red. If it was to get rid of any electrification there, maybe?
No, the EMP crates from... the EMP crates from Lion, no? So,
I'm just trying to piece things together.
That shouldn't be an issue. I mean, Thatcher's open as well. Shouldn't be an issue. Just didn't have the nades at the disposal. And I think as soon as that happened, I think they did realize, okay, we can't go there. Then they went Geisha. They had to go Geisha. I just think they should have went Geisha from the get-go. That's my opinion. Maybe leave 1 guy, 2 guys towards east, then send everyone to Geisha. Geisha is the key room that you must take if you want to attack Karaoke and T. This, not so much. Geisha, you don't need to go for Geisha for this one.
5 seconds left before insertion.
We'll see what they opt for, because it's either usually, to be honest, it's Geisha or it's hitting the quad wall and the triple wall, even getting that popped open and sort of forcing the play space of, you know, that corner right buried into the site. You can put some pressure from underneath on it. You can try and force them out. That's why the hatch is open. They have themselves a little bit of wiggle room.
Yeah, this bomb site can be tricky. A lot of things can go wrong. Mostly, it is just struggling with getting the walls open. That's where the attackers, I think, do struggle. If you can successfully get walls open, no problem, because I think it gives you a lot of breathing room, gives you plenty of space to use. That single wall is deadly. I think if that single wall gets opened, it puts everyone on edge.
Yep.
Because it kind of creates now a war on two fronts. You have the main triple wall that's going to be the next thing to get opened up, and then you have a wall directly behind the defenders. You have to try and hold two different angles at one point. It's very difficult. So that's the pressure that gets applied to defenders. Wall's going to be opened up now. Yeah, I worry for Wolves now. Walls have been opened up from Soniqs. I'm sure they'll go below now. They have the buck who can buck below. They obviously can send Citizen below with the nades. If they can get a couple of picks here, a couple of kills here or there to really lighten up, I suppose, the anchor players for Wolves, Soniqs just walking on plant.
Bibu, as I said, there is a bit of play that you can do here underneath to try and force that external double. This has already been popped open though. Rexon has got that and gets it done even more. Soniqs, they're not one to entirely throw themselves in. They love to get the intel game, and Citizen might see if he can try and find a bit of the intel here underneath. There is obviously Bibu as the loose thread, the possibility of the player waiting, watching, and holding.
Yeah, if you actually look upstairs and kind of, if we can get a top-down view of the four players right now from Wolves, you can see they're kind of like in a square. They're all covering one another. They're all kind of covering a corner. Right now we're seeing one of those corners actually try and go downstairs and help Bibu. This is what I like to see from Wolves, is potential for refrags.
So there's pressure coming around on the back end. Gunner's going to look for the fight. There's a bit of movement on the opposite end, and there's P4 with the cover, hit the hatch, drop, and drop the player
Really
too.
good.
Wolves, they've been able to find a little bit more. There's still two Soniqs players here underneath Citizen on one side and Grixter on the other, as Rexon suffers on the breach itself, looking for a swing on an angle, just trying to draw some attention, but with him now gone, well, the two remaining Soniqs players are going to have to not only try and climb the hill of the site itself, but also the 5 remaining players across the board. They might actually be able to get the player back up. They're going desperately for the run. There it is, the recollection. They didn't go full hyper-aggressive there, Wolves. They didn't try and swing into the fight. There's almost a freebie. Reloading. Just saw the leg, but then P4 did get the wherewithal to fight back. 20 seconds. What are you going to do here, Soniqs?
All 4 players for the defense upstairs now. Back to the safety of the bomb site, and yes, Soniqs don't really have a lot of options. That is Army Banner here as well, just going to kill off any potential of walking into office, and Rexon is essentially pushing into a freeway crossfire, and yeah, gets slaughtered immediately. Shinka with another one. Great round from Wolves, exactly what I wanted to see from them, being able to adapt to one another, help each other out. Bibu was caught between a rock and a hard place. 2 players straight on it, downstairs, helping him out, and that was the kind of system that I wanted to point to. They're kind of all together, they're ready for that. You've seen that square upstairs, they can drop off, they can help each other. That's what I want to see more from Wolves. Soniqs, again, refrags have not been here today for me. That's been my main concern, is they're losing players and not gaining anything back.
Yeah, well, we'll see if they can try and push it here on the tertiary site. I mean, Skyscraper, it's not easy to attack. There's no two ways about it. It's, you know, you can count the amount of teams that are very confident and comfortable attacking this site on about one hand. Across the whole scene of Siege, you're looking at generally a bit more preference into your defense. This site, for me, and my money, is going to be the sort of telltale tale of how this might go. We have to remember the first round almost did come back, and then Bibu sparked to a bit of life. He was actually at the start of that round down to about half health as he got sprayed through an engagement he didn't quite get the full bite into, then retreated, and then was able to have the big impact. Soniqs are seeing these opportunities. Is it that Wolves have suddenly woken up a little bit more to it and are getting a bit more mobile?
Mobile Wolf. A wolf. What am I doing? Yeah, wolf pack on the move.
Yep.
And that's what they need. They need to play flexible. I think for a map like Skyscraper, you need to be on your toes.
Yep.
At all moments that you can. Obviously, looking at Kitchen Barbecue, not that good of a bomb site. I think if you lose the upstairs control, you lose the hatch. That looks directly onto a bomb site, which we know isn't always the greatest to really defend with. That's the really only concern that you would have if you go on this bomb site, is just defending upstairs as best as you can. I'm a bit shocked that they haven't went for any wall denial, such as the Bandit to try and Bandit trick inside of Geisha. Again, Geisha for this attack is a necessity. It is the room that you want to have from a defender's perspective. Or attacker's perspective. I mean, either way, they both want it. You both want it.
The perspective we get is the break that comes through on towards Geisha.
Perspective is we've wall hacks.
Yeah, the break comes across this verticality. BB's going to see if he can sort of sit and wait and bay for as much attention as possible before maybe getting a rotate and pulling himself back out. Verticality is important here. There is solids underneath. There's a bit of a drive, and P4 is instantly trying to put some pressure back onto the window here.
I have a feeling it might just be a quick rush in again from Soniqs, which is what they were doing really well on Kafe, seeing an opportunity in it and excelling in it.
Yeah. They'll look for a window, they'll look for a route through, and sometimes the direct route is the way to a man's heart, soul, kidney, and liver. P4 knows where gunners are, but Geo does get that back. A quick response.
Side player dead.
Yeah, he might try and just get a quick break onto this castle and maybe swing around
backstab
behind it, hope that he can do a little bit of damage, but nobody's going to try and move in intently. A lot of reinforcements, the swing on the shield and the pull back, actually, just as a player, and to maybe have a drift closer on. They're still sort of sitting, waiting, wiggling, but currently they haven't been forced out entirely of their positions here.
Oh, IQ just misses Mowgli. He's crouched, so he doesn't see the angle. Mowgli sees him and picks him apart. It's going to be a down, though, not a finish off onto Grixer. 3 versus 4, unless Mowgli can secure the kill. I think, does he go for the jump out here? Maybe, nope. Thinks against that, probably could have gotten the kill, and then runs straight into the crossfire of Geo. 50 seconds to go. 3v2, unless somebody wants to rotate and get Grixer, but I don't really think they need to. I still think they have enough in the tank to see us over the line.
They do, but when you have the option of, I guess, you know, the 4 versus 2 versus the 3 versus 2, you kind of want all strength going, especially when you still have 30 seconds. Grixer is picked back up. Citizen was out there. Shinka's going to see if he can maybe get a bit of revenge and find the full stop to the story of that round. But in the meantime, Rise has gone down in the site, so there's not too much that you can do exploratory. Over here, the swing round, the first fight is Shinka's.
Oh no.
Kills Geo.
What?
That was, I think, elsewhere on the map, on the second story down to the top. They've picked it up. He was concerned. They get the kit back. That was a little bit of a moment there, but Rexon, he's going to get that picked up, get the plant, and get that covered. Shinka is above. We talked about the importance of verticality to post-plant. No, that makes this very risky. A second difference there, and that could have been a huge Shinka clutch. But there is still time. There is still the possibility of some intel. These pre-opened angles. There's the first fight. Gets it. Gets rid of Rexon and pushes them into the 1 versus 1. They've gone deep all the way down the prep line, holding off on the angle and waiting for the call, the intel, and look at that.
That's a good angle.
Big old opening. Ready for them to see if they can swing it. Shinka could go right here and see if he can force the fight elsewhere. He might try and long arm, but he knows they're watching. And he knows they're listening. 15 seconds, though, and in that time, he's got to get it back to the kit itself. Can he long arm it from that angle? Oh, will that be just enough? You got to make a motion. You got to run, hold the shift key, and hold the trigger. Grixer just clutches it out.
Yeah, good work from Grixer. Good angle. Knows how to play that one. What you expect to see from Soniqs, getting that diffuser down. They're not like Wolves, they can actually hold it pretty well. But yeah, that's a plant anyway. That's been the first plant, hasn't it, for the attacks in Skyscraper?
It has.
So I mentioned it's not really a map that you would see the plant go down all too often.
I'm still curious about the team kill that happened.
I think it was because it was Grixer and Citizen jumped in the same window, didn't they? From into the kind of little restaurant area, and I think that they might have shot at Shinka, and then a stray bullet has happened.
But it was Geo that got the kill.
Yeah, that's why it's confusing, I think.
Because Geo, we last saw with the kit down on the prep line.
Yeah.
On the far end of kitchen.
Because it was definitely Grixer who jumped in that window with Citizen.
And then Rexon was above.
So he's hit a stray shot somehow, and it's hit Geo. Something's happened.
Poor Geo.
He's caught a stray.
It happens.
Seems to happen to me a lot with these desks as well. I just catch random strays from other talent.
Yeah, I mean...
Why is that?
Well, listen, I've got to sometimes do like an outreach program.
Wait, are you telling me that I'm catching... Do you shoot strays at me for no reason?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. I mean, why not? You're an easy target.
Hang on a minute.
You know Parker's straightened his hair today?
Yeah. Looks like a emo.
I thought you looked like an English teacher.
Yeah.
Like the cool English teacher, you know? If you want to see Parker straightened hair, go to his Twitter. And other such...
Just, you don't need to see that image, everyone.
And other
so
such
about
throwaways. Hey, 2-1 Wolves. They still have an advantage. As I said, it was down to that site, and it was still close. You find yourself in a post-plant 1 versus 1. A second difference, maybe even half that, and they might have had an angle on the diffuser planter anyway from above, and then that would have been all she wrote at 3-0.
So they brought in more nades, which means they sacrificed the EMP grenades because Citizen was on the line the last time they attacked this. So they're bringing more nades, which is what we wanted to see, so they can actually deal with the Azami hold that moves in towards drum. So that should be a lot better for them. You would expect that to happen. But you can just see the power of Azami. You can see it adds an extra layer to everything that happens. It just keeps stacking up amongst one another. You know, we see this all the time from Skyscraper. I'm pretty sure the last time that me and you cast the Skyscraper was that G2 BDS game, if I'm not mistaken.
Deep cut, but
Remember that one? The horrible game of Skyscraper.
wasn't it when Skyscraper had just come in though?
No, it was stage 3.
Oh wow. Horrible game of Skyscraper. I mean, they happen. Not everyone is good at sort of attacking Sky. Not everyone can sort of piece things together. And well, Geo gets a perfect start. Mowgli gets a perfect bit of revenge. They lose Geo, but they do get rid of Shinka. However, the cost of the smoke and the thermite is one of those that would probably be argued by a lot of people for a long time. What is worse to lose in this situation?
You have the ace, so
With one Selma left.
it's not too bad. And realistically, in terms of Sonics, they just need the geisha wall open. That's the only wall that needs to be opened up. 2 quick kills by said ace. You know, it makes
You have the ace.
you just don't open up the walls, you open up all the kills, and then Gunnar hits them coming in through Black Stairs, and that's it. Realistically now for Sonics, they have full upstairs control. Bibu has to go for a long old flank, but doesn't even get that close. Citizens down there sniffing them out. Sonics, quick round.
2 apiece. We're back even now, and 2 attack rounds for a lot of teams on Skyscraper. They're pretty confident with that. They're pretty comfortable with that. You move on to defense with that, and you think you should be able to lock it out.
Sonics today feels very blink and you miss it, doesn't it? They just, all of a sudden, they've won the round.
Oh, well, the thing about Sonics, they're one of those teams where you want to sort of get the VODs and look at it afterwards. Like, obviously...
Yeah, we've seen a few times today already. How have you got there?
During groups, you're sort of, you know, because there's so many games, we only have a couple of observers, you don't get the full taste of all the moving parts. That's the sort of downside to Siege. But there are VODs at some points, often released to the public. They are given to people, and you... Sonics are always high on that list of like, I really want to watch these. I want to see if I can teach what they do to the people I play ranked with.
Good luck.
My friends who play.
Friends?
Yeah, I've been getting them into
Look at
Siege.
you.
I've been getting them to Siege.
Look at you.
They're watching our site, which is good because normally they say, if you're a caster or a play-by-play especially, try and explain it as if you're explaining the game to your grandma.
Well, whenever I cast, right, little tip for any casters out there.
Please give me a tip.
Always cast as though your dad's watching.
Yeah. You want to try and explain it. And I
works really well for me because Paul's always watching.
Paul,
I always cast as if Paul's.
Yeah, I get to cast as if my gold tier friends are watching and sort of try and explain.
Are your gold tier friends watching?
Yeah, they are, I think.
Good.
Yeah. I gave them a breakdown on all the quick teams. Tell them. Well, unfortunately, after yesterday, a lot of them have become Cyclops fans, and you have to sort of...
No.
Explain the heartbreak of being a Cyclops
Listen to me very, very carefully, Emmy's friends. Listen very carefully, okay?
10 seconds left.
That was just a bad BDS.
No, I love Cyclops.
telling you.
But if you are a Cyclops fan, you will suffer heartbreak a lot.
Do not back down.
Usually their own doing. Anyway, and this is a good time and a good showdown. And Sonics are a good sort of explanation team. Wolves are sometimes a good explanation team as well, but they just, you know, they're still sort of suffering. They've obviously just come off the back of a timeout. As I said, 2 attack rounds is sort of par for the course. It's what you want. Wolves, they've lost 2 in a row now, and they don't want things to keep going that way.
I do worry about Wolves on the attack. I think they need to get a good, healthy defense to really give them a good fighting chance.
Yep.
Sonics, interesting pickup from Citizen, was doing really well for him. He's on the Amaru. Amaru's an operator that I don't really see on Skyscraper. It's not one that you would think is going to excel. There's really only one window you go in from, and that is karaoke window.
Well,
which okay, so I think where did he come in from? He came in, okay, so he came in from the bottom black window.
Bottom black. And he's going to see if he can maybe try and get a quick strike here.
Yeah.
You can sort of circumvent a lot of the softs, the pace there as well. You can get into position and hope that they're still maybe even doing softs on this side. That's the idea, is that if they're doing the stretch extension just for noise, they'll probably do that last. Gunnar, in the meantime, and Geo, look at the positions of 2 of them though. What they want to do here is isolate the push on the rest of it. They have maybe Mowgli now stuck in a situation where he either has to take the drop or they can force him into one of the remaining guns. That's what they do. He slips on by though and is able to escape before the pressure gets too hot.
Yeah, if you actually look at Dragon, for example, this is going to be the main room that you'll see Sonics try and really target into. There's only just a shield. that's it. There's a shield. There's a few Azami barriers being up. Is there an ADS there as well? There's one ADS. Oh, two ADSs.
And
okay.
a frost mat just under the close window as well. So they have some protection, but still, what they want to
Two flashbangs and a nade, and it's gone. So.
Yeah, the players got out of there. Here's the first nade that's going to roll its way. There's the reveal on the first ADS. The second is a drone, but within 10 seconds, that ADS will be back popped, and they'll have to rotate. He does have some protection as well on his back wall. The terrace wall is muted, and
that's poor. That's poor.
And that's a frost mat as well. Well, you said they didn't have enough. Wolves say they had just enough.
No, that's, yeah. Gunnar needs to be thinking about what's he doing there. You know, you should be aware that if there is going to be the shield, you'd expect there's going to be, you know, something there. Wolves have shown that they've been running Wamai a few times.
Yep.
So you should be expecting some form of burn denial. You should be calling Citizen over. Can you burn for me? You've got flashbangs, Citizen. You know, use them. Let me nade. You're straight into Dragon. So yeah, rookie mistake there from Gunnar, has to be said.
Mowgli, he's able to try and dig himself a little bit closer, get a bit of width here. Rise obviously still, as he said, in that pressure position inside Dragon, but with the drive coming against him, gets the down on Rexon before he's blinded. Can't get the lock in. A second blind will go across. They're seeing if they can just try and dig their way. The C4 wasn't quite enough. Citizen, he's pre-firing every angle, but it doesn't have a huge amount of blood in the tank, and even less in the time. And Mowgli gets the double across the back, and Wolves find their round after the timeout. Will they be able to get the very important fourth on this half?
Poor round from Soniqs. The attack that last time they went with the single wall, opened up in towards the double wall, very generic stuff. Didn't work for them then. Now they've went for the challenge. They've tried to sweep across from the other side of the map. They've tried to get in the Amaru early doors. But yeah, just that not being able to clear out Dragon it's a shock for me. And I think that Soniqs need to do better. They need to do better.
Well, they have some options here. They'll see if they can try and push themselves one more time. We go back to Geisha. It's been 50-50 across the board so far. But the first was because of a flank on Bibu and ended in time. The only round that's ended in a timeout across the two maps, or the 1.5 maps we've seen so far. So, what'll be the change? We have Citizen back onto the Nook, back onto an operator that's done them a little bit more. The Lion was thought about for a second before it was swapped to the Flores at the bottom of the board, see if they can maybe try and drive some of these positions. I mean, that's also quite good at getting rid of an Azami who's not there. The Azami has actually been swapped off. Mowgli is going with something a little bit different, a little bit more mobile.
Yeah, I'm really shocked about that as well, because I think Azami is crucial for holding that drum, holding in towards that Dragon, and to drop that it tells me one of two things. One, it tells me that they probably think that Soniqs haven't really went all in on really going for drum. You've seen Soniqs, yeah, they've kind of maybe lingered, and then they rotate to Geisha. Yep. But not only that, the Goo Mines are going to be great for a couple of solo plays that Citizen has been making, for a couple of solo plays that even Rexon has been making, you know. We see them just appear with a few kills. Legion's not too bad in that department, just to give you a little bit of a sound indication. It lets you know if someone's going for a crouch walk. It's not a bad change. I think they're adapting well. I think they're able to see what Soniqs are doing well and what Soniqs aren't maybe doing as so well, and that is, you know, kind of the utility sweep. They haven't really been interested in that, so what's the point of bringing the Azami, I guess?
Mowgli still playing a similar position here, but obviously has to play it a lot further away with a lot less width than with otherwise. We've seen Rexon getting the steady approach across the back end. They're putting the pressure a little bit more flat. It's more similar to their first take here, where they're driving across towards Dragon, towards Drum, the traditional break here across the board. Mowgli gets rid of that drone. There's still drones worrying their way. One's heading up underneath and towards the back end, and Mowgli for now is just happy to fill this with as much danger as possible. Citizen suffers a scrape against Mowgli on the far end. He's going to go a little bit wider and hope he can get a bit of a reveal. There's a drone just tucked around in the corner that might hit the audio of the movement and motion, but otherwise, still no intense pressure.
All you need to do is try and get a nade, and you have one still remaining from Gunnar. Let's just hope they can burn the Wamai disc this time around. Mowgli holding firm, and this is a really tricky position to actually attack in if you're an attacker coming in from the armory side of things. Basically, Mowgli will see you before you see him. If he is playing the angle behind the drum, and yep, there you go, you can see him, but no, loses out on it. Wow, Mowgli. I'm shocked at that. Surely you get at least one out of that, but nope, gets nothing.
Yeah, a bit of a missed moment there. P4's not going to try and, well, can't trick any of that wall now. It's all broken apart. He hoped someone might hop in and see if he can get some revenge, but it's the coverage. The window breaks right next to him on Karaoke, looking for the upside down repelled. They have an awareness of the player tucked in the corner. They've got one on Bibu, who gets dropped as the E1D comes out behind. He's to your right, and he somehow whiffs most of the shots and doesn't get the escape. Gunnar takes care of that. It's a technical 4 versus 2 now. It's a real one with Citizen almost the next off the board. Shinka holding onto the back of Black Stairs. It's 28 seconds to see if they can try and keep the lockdown all the way on the back end of the corner. Shinka does get one. Gunner is gone on the far end. They're angling themselves up towards potentially gold. But the hold that Wolves have is something that is stopping them getting a direct route through, as Rives can do this. Wiggle around on the opposite end, caught by the side, the wing clipped by Grixer. Gonna see if they can stick the plant. Shinka not in a position to stop it, forced further and further back. Has to pop that round the corner. The kit is just a few centimeters away, but so is Citizen.
Again, I think Soniqs doing really well to give themselves enough time. You can see where they've learned from the first round, where they were running out of time to get that diffuser down. A lot more control, the composure coming through once again. Wolves, yeah, Mowgli missing out on that first kill for me is a big one. P4 missing the shots here in the window. Moments like this really changes it. Like, much as what we talk about, you know, strategies and this and that. If you can't hit your shots, you don't kill. That's it. There's no other two ways about it. You have to always remember that this game, you shoot people. That's it. Is that not But you tell me this. If you were to describe this game, would you not say you shoot people? Would you not? You would. And that's what it's all about.
You would describe it as a first-person shooter, yeah?
What did you say?
You describe the game as a first-person shooter.
Thank you. Shooter. That's what I'm trying to say. You shoot people. But that's just it. If you don't hit your shots, don't hit your shots. That's as basic as I can make this game. Don't matter how genius you are. If you can't do it, you can't do it. You know, if you can't shoot, you coach. If you can't coach, you analyze. If you can't analyze, you cast.
5 seconds to go.
If you can't cast, you observe.
Oh, they don't like that one. Oh, they didn't like that one. You can't observe, you host.
Yeah, fair enough.
Poor Milosh.
Yep.
Milosh is the best of all of us. Not at Siege, though.
I thought you were talking about Chambers there for a minute. I didn't clock Milosh.
Ian Chambers is the worst of the talent at Siege because he has a real life outside of Siege.
I brought him into a game of Siege, and it instantly gave him recruit, and from there I was like, oh my goodness. Because if you instantly get recruit, you don't actually have an operator. And I was like, That's how we knew he was.
Yeah. He doesn't need anyone else. All right. What do Wolves need? I'm going to sort of say this round. I know it's the first.
Well, I need to see how they approach this first.
Yeah, there needs to be some pressure that comes across the board. We've talked about the similarities of the hold here. You've got the player inside drum. Yeah, you've got yourself locked in. The attackers, you just sort of gestured. It's a very similar setup. The Lion, the E1 days swinging. There's a fight and Mowgli.
What's Rexon doing?
Yeah, he makes a great connection there with a header X, and he's much sharper through that door as he was the opposite side of it. Citizen is now going to step into that place that Mowgli was playing a little bit before, but with the cost of one body already lost.
Questionable from Rexon, just stood in the middle of a room for no real reason. That drops you down a man. It means that Citizen has to play that position. It means that he can't hold elsewhere. You will notice that you have the opened wall towards Drum and Geisha. That's the way Soniqs are playing this one. I don't think that Wolves, I think Wolves, they reinforced that for the majority, didn't they? So it just gives you that extra coverage that you can have in the door. And it means that Mowgli doesn't just have like a one-way gunfight. He has two angles to worry about.
Yeah, it gives you a little bit more width. It's not the easiest to hold on to, but whether they try to play a bandit trick or not, it's Geo that actually suffers on the bandit underneath. Swings up Black, back towards the top, locked in with the shield and the swing round with a little bit more wiggle room across the top. They've got slightly different structural changes in that case.
Look at Gunner right now. Gunner, honestly, I was going to say he can maybe go for the jump out, but he's been droned out. You know, there's not really any claymores being brought in the form for Wolves, and, you know, one jump out on that Geisha balcony, it can really slow down your time.
Geo, he's looking for a second fight there, but it's Citizen that finds Mowgli up towards the top of drum. They're hunting for the players. They're hopping across the board. Bibu gets Citizen from the push, and suddenly they've got a little bit of ground back. Geo does go down. Rise, he's tucked so close towards the side. He's concerned about the rotate around the back. He takes a little bit of a dangerous sprint there and suffers the damage, gets repositioned, as does Gunner suddenly. There's a lot of ground, a lot of land being handed back and forth. A bit of a swing round. 2 versus 2 with the single player. Gunner, he's waiting, holding, and they slip on by. Grixer, what can you do here? Gunner does get caught out. It's Grixer. The 2 versus 1 technically. Geo is in Narnia. They're not getting him back up. They're trying to get the kit planted. There's the reveal on the player. The red pings are coming across the board. He just needs to find the man that's head down. He hears the audio from the opposite side. The pings are still there. He's going for the swing. The first fight. He cannot get it. Rise!
Ran out of ammo. In this 416. All the info in the world also. And he can't finish it out just because he forgot to reload. Whew. Close again for Wolves. Very, very close. Big plays from Ryans, that has to be said. Killing Gunner and then also getting that cover. Wow. Great work. Wolves, I think, again, that opening kill department has done wonders for them. Very consistent in that. And this time they will close out with a round win, which we didn't say that in Kafe.
Yeah, no, it's that sort of maybe a change of pace. I said, for me, it's an important round for them to win, as every round should be, but coming into this half, they need the mental game. Okay, sure, it's the first defense for Soniqs. You're not expected to always win that. That should be technically the Soniqs' strongest side, but still, if there's not a fight, there's not a lot of hope, and there was more than enough came from the guns and the barrels of Rise, biting back. Still some motions by Geo, which gave you a couple of flashbacks towards Kafe, the map before. Did some damage underneath and got caught up on the rotate towards the top of Black by Rise, but still, is that a little bit of a red flag?
Again, I think Wolves, it wasn't clean. It wasn't like, wow, great round. It was lucky enough kind of situation.
They fought through it. They sort of bitterly fought through it. Their last stop on the journey, it's sort of different to how they were before. Their last stop on the journey this time was getting the plant down.
Yeah.
Whereas before, it was much earlier, and then they had the retake that kept going wrong. Here, they made a lot of work done first.
Potential bandit trick could come in. You can see the bandit, instead of being stationed towards the double wall, towards office, instead he's going to be beside the single wall. Obviously, the only thing he has to worry about is getting naded from below.
Yep.
But there's only 2 nades being brought by Wolves, which is a little bit under, I think, the average. Generally, it is, 2 sets of nades that you would like to bring in on a map like Skyscraper.
There's a bit of movement underneath the site as well. Oh, then there's the fight that happens across the stairs. It's Gunner.
There's the nade gone.
Wins it out. The
Easy
nade's
bandit trick.
gone. There's the bandit
Brilliant.
trick, the catch, and well, they thought they'd read it, but they were able to get the bandit trick off and get the player that went for the swing on the bandit as well.
And I mentioned this whenever Soniqs were attacking. It can be a really easy bomb site to attack if you open the walls. If you cannot open the walls, you will struggle to do anything. Now they've had to rotate another player below. Mowgli's used all of his breaching rounds on getting rid of the bandit charges. Now the thing that they're going to struggle with, how do you deal with the shields? How do you deal with the bulletproof cams? All the other utility now that's going to be up, the Azami barriers.
Yep.
They're not going to have enough in the tank.
The pressure comes on the opposite end. There's no jam, there's no electrics to stop this because of, you assume, well, just this. Shooting through, making things stay soft. It's not the most common way of doing it, but it's the way that they're going to go against it. It's not an easy wall to hold on to. As I said, without ever entering the building, especially with Ash on the board, you can get rid of anything that's otherwise stopping that wall get opened. It's not clean, though, and that's the change. That's why they've gone soft and why they've just shotgunned through and removed everything.
That's brilliant. Look at the mess of the breach that they've done, mostly because he was able to pick off one of the Selma charges. It doesn't really give them a way in. A C4, though, doesn't actually nail anything. Jump in from Shinka, will find one, but obviously that other door being blocked in. Geo runs to him and just gives himself up.
Yeah, Shinka able to get to there and the bit of the chaos that's coming on the back end. As you said, the C4 made a door from what was scraps before, but 30 seconds in the 3 versus 2. Shinka and Rise. Rise, the man of the moment of the previous round. Shinka definitely having a little bit more of an impact this time. They're going to see if they can sort of tuck and dig themselves. They're just close around the Azami barricades, slowing things down just a little. They're still setting themselves in the engagement. It's scrappy, but they're in through the door and tucked behind the one bit of solid that might really offer them anything. He's still not confident, though. Wants to see if he can get one more. And there it is. Now the plant is being covered just behind him. Rise, he's tucked in, he's holding the close fight. Gets one more. Rise, he is ready to keep pushing the team through this engagement. A post plant with Citizen. The XEU now NA star, seeing if he can try and break some of this back and keep waving a flag that we are better, but they're not this time. Rise.
Smile. No way. Do you ever win that? You don't win that. You don't win that.
Rise does.
You know he's the oldest player at this event.
Oldest player at the event, yeah.
I can't believe it. I'll be honest, this from Geo. What's he thinking? That's like you're sat there on Christmas Day and the turkeys came up to you and just died. Just take me. That's what it's like. You're picking your turkeys, just came up and just gave itself away. Take me. I'll sacrifice myself.
A timeout called by Soniqs here. They're 2 rounds down. They've lost their 2 opening.
Why did I agree to cast? Why did I do this to myself? Why?
Enough, because it's funny content. If you're unaware, the 3rd map, should we get there, should Wolves get 2 more to push us over the precipice, their first map is the best they've done across the 3 maps they've played so far. 4 maps, technically. Should we get there, is it Oregon?
Yep.
Is where we find ourselves. Much more of an even battleground, I think it's fair to call it.
Expect to, yeah. It's one of the maps that we know Wolves definitely can't play.
Yep. And that list isn't massively long. What Wolves do, they can do excellently. But as we sort of said at the beginning of this, their best of 3s is usually where they fall apart. It's usually where the wheels start to come off a bit and where they're pressured in ways that they're not quite happy about.
You don't win championships off best of 1s.
No.
You win championships off best of 3s and best of 5s. You know, we sit there and speculate about your Wolves, oh, they need to get the best of 3s in shape. You do wonder, what would they be like in a best of 5?
Not great.
That's what you have to look at it in that regard. Soniqs, worry. Just gave themselves away for no real reason. And again, how are they allowing the Wolves players to rack up all those kills and no response? The refrags again, I keep saying it, it's the one thing that Soniqs just have not done enough for me in one department. I think Soniqs have played great. I've loved the strats that they've come up with, the way they've been able to adapt and quickly execute when needed. But the refrags is going to cost you.
Yeah.
Refrags is a very crucial thing in this game, is you don't let your opponent run away with it. Don't let your opponent gain a lot of momentum. Don't let your opponent get momentum back. Remember, that was a situation where it's not getting refrags, like you go from a 5v5, oh, it's a 2v5. You went from your leading 5v2 into a 1v2.
Citizen gets the opener onto Mowgli, sprayed through as they're approaching the window, and that is huge. There's also been obviously a couple of changes here. We're on Barbecue, we're on a site with a slightly different energy before it, but that is the opener. Mowgli has been one of the few consistencies that I think Wolves have been able to sort of bank behind. Obviously, Rise popping off over the past couple of rounds. You know, he's had 3, he's had 4. Huge kills across the 2 that's driven. You disagree with my Mowgli point?
Yeah, I don't.
But you're comparing Mowgli to his in-season 2 as usual. I mean,
I'm putting Mowgli, for what Mowgli was brought in to do and the caliber of that player, Mowgli should be doing what Spoit has done for Koi, what EFAC has done for BDS. If we judge him on that same caliber, would you say he is a consistent threat as what those 2 players bring to their teams? I would say no.
Throughout this tournament, I would say out of Wolves, he has been the one consistent. He was the only one that was positive yesterday. He was the only one that was positive pretty much in the previous map as well. He's the only one that's kept that gun game going against a team like Soniqs as well, where they have, you know, some of the best gunners in the world, depending on who you ask. You have to still have that functioning, and that is the problem. Has been that the other guns, the older guns like, you know, Bibu and P4, throughout the season they can perform so much better, so much bigger. They haven't quite hit it. Rise starting to spark in, Shinka starting to spark into life.
Yeah,
is so much bigger for Wolves right now.
Well, the same way you talk about Mowgli, you can't have someone who might be good one day and might not so be good the other day. I think consistency is what makes a great player in my eyes. But you know me, I'm very specific in terms of what I look out for.
The fight almost directly onto an Azami. There's a pretty much entirely surrounded Rise. They're able to get one out of it. Geo drops to the ground and gets the take. There's the window fight as well, and Geo's able to lock it in. Shinka, I'm not sure if he knew where Geo was. He's looking for one more fight. The Azami gives him a bit of bulletproof, and he makes things awkward for Rise. The follow through, and has nothing else in his pockets to be able to pop open that wall without being right next to it and punching it. So it suddenly had to turn from a direct line to the side into a direct line to let's see what we can piece together. They still have verticality. Citizen is up there with a bit of a lockdown. Rexon's there too, and he makes a statement. Soniqs bite back and take a round.
Great crossfire. Brilliant crossfire being established by Soniqs, realizing that, hey, if they do push up in towards the main stairs, which is probably likely if you know they can't get through Geo inside a kitchen, because obviously the Azami barriers get placed and it just kind of locks it off. They don't really have the option of, okay, now we have to go above. Great crossfire, one holding from Karaoke, long angle onto the staircase, and then that gives the information over to Citizen, who can then also swing inside a geisha onto the main staircase. Great crossfire, love that. A little bit of play-by-play there from Soniqs.
5-4, Soniqs, they bounce back after the tech timeout and take a round. It's always an important thing to make sure that you can keep the momentum. Going to a site that hadn't been played as well, I mean, obviously, we don't quite get the benefit of being able to sit in and listen to teams on the team talks.
Unless, unless we're not working and we can kind of just, oh, what was that? Just kind of linger, I suppose, is the best way.
The thing is, I know obviously some talent like to sort of sit there and listen to the players.
Yep.
do that. I'm always really nervous. I never want to, like...
Nervous.
Yeah, because, you know, they're playing for their life.
Playing for their lives. If they don't win, they don't get to eat tonight. That's what it is. You heard it here first.
I guess I'm technically talking for my livelihood, but they're playing for their livelihood. I think it's not a crazy statement for me to say theirs is much more nerve-wracking than mine. I think any and all distractions removed at that point. If I was a pro player, and I'm so far from that, if I was a pro player and I saw talent near me, I would throw things at them. Especially you.
Why me?
Before you do another, if you can't play, you can't.
Yeah. Hey, if players want to hate me, then it just means I'm doing my job. You know, if I criticize somebody, it's for a reason. If I don't criticize anyone, we are dealing with the best siege we've ever seen in our lives. But we'll never get to that point because there's always something.
Wow.
No one's perfect. That's the way it is.
Wolves.
Players love me. What are you on?
You Wolves. Wolves, you still have a one-round advantage here. But Soniqs, they're a team that grows into the game. We talked about it before. The way they develop into a series, the way they piece things
together. You can
together.
go on a run just in a matter of minutes.
It's always going to turn into a problem the longer a game goes on. And at this point, with both times played, it's just down to the fight. Mowgli got a freebie last time. He drifted past this. Isn't offered the same thing, but the mirror window out there, I'm not sure if it's entirely popped open or not, but he does have the range to get it from where he is.
That mirror window, by the way, for anyone knowing, it's not there to get kills. It is literally there to mess up like Thermite breaching or Ace breaching, because you can pop the mirror window and then impact trick it. That's a little trick that you can go for. You'll see it a lot maybe on Clubhouse if we get a chance to see it later on this day. In another match, you might see teams with the mirror try and go for an impact trick on like Casual, for example. So just a little minor thing. It's not there to get kills, don't worry.
First smoke pops down and stops the approach here of Mowgli, but he's not intent on going too much further in. You can see the kit is making its way up the balcony. Shinka with the Thermite's going to see if they can get that open, and as he said, that might get popped in. The grenade from underneath. They're hoping a player potentially stacks up next to it. They're not there, and in fact, they're not even going to open it themselves. It gets popped out, it gets broken, and now the approach comes from under.
See what I mean? Now the Thermite can't open it because he's not going to stand in front of the mirror window knowing that someone's in static Geisha. This is what I'm trying to say. It's not there for kills. It's simply there just to be an annoyance.
And Geo is being as annoying as ever against Wolves right now. The drones start to whir in. He's tucked himself with a bit of safety as soon as the window got broken open. And there's Rex, and he's pushing back in. The E1D doesn't really do much against him, and he's able to just keep firing. Mowgli dropped out. There was a C4 just to cement the man, but he was already caught out. Look at underneath, bottom of the stairs. Before he was almost about to throw himself up there, I think, but we heard a single pop, and they pulled himself back round. Geo suffered in the engagement as well as Bibu starts to creep his way, but gets dropped from the back of the chassis. Grixer has him. Gunnar has one more, but it's Shinka that's able to at least get a body back. They have some eyes into the site, but that's still really far away from them. The steps that need to be cracked open here by Wolves are not easy, so instead they go with a hot hop in 15 seconds. You got to pull that out and just try and barrel yourself towards getting this kit face down. There's face down, but it's not in the way that you want. Rise is gone. Shinka, he's looking for one more out the door. He's not going to find it. We are back level.
We are. The mirror window inside of Geisha just stopped Wolves in their tracks. Really, really worried about Wolves if that all it takes to stop them is that mirror window trick. That's been around for ages. They should know about that. At that stage, if you deal with that mirror window and you know it's going to be open, obviously you can't put the Thermite charge. You do have the Selmas. Obviously it's tricky with impact tricks, can still be a thing.
Yep.
It is a tough one. I mean, it is definitely a tough one to go through. I think at that stage, you then just have to try and seek for nades from below and just honestly just try and jump in double window with somebody also pressuring drum so you don't get swung from drum. I think it has to be like a kind of unison call, whereas as the Selma gets placed, the guy pulls the impact grenade, then everyone rushes him as best you can. That's what I think the solution to that is.
You could see that they tried to get underneath with the grenade. They were trying to play a little bit against it, but the first grenade hit right next to the mirror window.
They thought it was a bandit trick or something like that. That's what they were worried about.
And what you're sort of, I think, trying to work out there is, okay, but didn't Mowgli have eyes?
Exactly. That's what I was literally going to say, but it doesn't make sense because Mowgli knows there's nobody home.
So it seemed like, as you said, they were a little bit stumped, but...
Worried for Wolves. Worried.
We talked about tertiary sites and how powerful they can be. We remember the last time we were here, it was on the back of scrappiness. It was a fight that broke the side. The soft that made things awkward. Again, if they're things that slow down Wolves, all the merrier. I think on the side of Soniqs right now, I'm not sure if the wall is soft once again, just on the side of the site. No, this time it's more familiar. Half of it's soft, half of it's currently loud. They have the mirror window just popped on a quick swing round as well to make things a little bit awkward to get themselves stuck in. You have to force that mirror player out of position if you want to try and drive against that.
Let's just hope that Soniqs can not just throw it away in a matter of instances. Bear from Wolves, they've got that main wall opened up as quick as they can.
That was a lot of Sophia utility there.
It is, but realistically, what else are you going to use it on? You're still bringing in the Ash, you have the backup, you have the nade still as backup. They have money to burn. They're millionaires in the utility department.
P4, he wants to try and approach from underneath. He's concerned about being caught out by a bit of the verticality that's been open, and I think it's being watched by Azami. If he leaves this door, oh no, a little bit further away than that is Belied, but up the main stairs, right up towards the house.
He knows.
Slayer just over on the other side. There's a grenade that's just gonna bounce right into this. Goodbye. Oh no, survives. Geo with a sliver of health and a swing round. P4 does find the header one. Grixer does get Mowgli before he's got though. Keeps pushing into Dragon. Citizen has the lockdown on the back end of Frostmat. That's 2 for 2 on the same window. And Citizen gets the push. Geo breakdances with a shotgun. Suddenly Rise is all that's left. He pulled a 3K off the last time they were here to clutch it into a round win. Rexon blinked and you missed it. Rise sure didn't. 10 to 6 and he's looking for the next, but Geo is able to make the wiggle dance work.
He's not real, this guy here. The stuff that he's gotten away with today is incredible. He's a myth. He's a dead man walking. Feels like a ghost. He's tanking nades that I die to all the time. I've died to less.
Geometrics.
David Copperfield in the flesh.
Is that the only magician you know the name of?
Houdini, Penn and Teller,
Okay.
Dynamo.
If anyone, to be fair, actually, if anyone knows a lot about musicians,
Musicians or magicians?
magicians.
Yeah, he said
It would
magicians.
be you. Sorry.
Me? No. I know a lot of stuff, but none of it's useful.
You're a genius. You're self-proclaimed.
Well, I don't mean to brag. I did get the best predictions out of everyone yesterday.
Got CAG wrong.
Everyone got CAG wrong.
Mandy didn't.
But who put G2?
I don't know.
Oh,
I don't care that much.
who put G2? Who said
Alright.
I did. I'm a
These are other
believer.
games. What we have right now is one round separating potentially Soniqs from another 4 points and Wolves another 0. This is still technically the best that they've done, but there's still a bit of a distance to go. Hey, you're pointing at the screen.
Slightly worried about something I'm seeing.
Yeah, go on.
Is Sens.
Why are you worried?
They don't bring a lot. In my opinion, they don't bring a lot in terms of the speed change, which I think was definitely needed, because they were too slow. They were way too slow. I think if you're a 1-speed in this game, it's staff row almost at times, isn't it? You're set up to fail from the get-go. But the gadget is, you can see the idea from it, but all it takes is like one miss throw and it just clusters everything up. I think you need to be really precise in what you're doing with it. So you would like to think that Mowgli has done a good job with practicing the lineups.
I think we're about to go a little bit quicker than we've got on the previous rounds. The Candelas were slightly prepped there with the throw over. The E1D goes, but it's a bit of a crouch movement behind the back of it. They get the wall open. There was a mirror window there before, but this time they don't fall for it. The push and the pressure on the player just tucked around on the back of Karaoke. The only song that they're singing is, "Oh God, I'm Alive." But Grixer is living! Gets the double. Mowgli and P4 caught off on the other side. Suddenly the Sens, as you said, there's an S there. It looks like $1, but the only one that's money right now is Soniqs. Citizen. He's tucked around on the corner, waiting for the approach here from the Thermite. Rise gets caught out on the window. It's just Bibu and Shinka left for Wolves' hopes on anything. A misflow, a misflash, and the blinding lights on anything that they want to have a look at right now. Citizen pulls himself back round. He's looking for the engagement, looking for the pressure. He has all the time in the world. They've slipped their way in towards Geisha, and he slipped his way right out of there, not handing them anything. But look, there's C4s in pocket. There's one less. You've still got one on the guns of Grixer, Rexon, and Grixer either side of a deadly corridor. They're trying to push the pressure onto the player. Geo's now on the stairs with Citizen. They are entirely shaping themselves up around this, the remaining 2 players. Nothing they can do right now from the guns of Wolves is going to be quiet. The impact doesn't quite get the trick onto the bit of hard breach. It's popped open, but 2 stories, 2 territories, 2 things they need. What can they take?
Still, if they can maybe get a kill back, he's still a minute to go here, but you really need Soniqs to start give themselves up. And again, I still do worry Soniqs and the refrags I've mentioned before. We've already seen them lose this already today.
There's one more. Shinka gets the trade, and suddenly it's a 3 versus 1. With just about 30 seconds left, they still have the structure, and they still have a mirror window in pocket as well, just in case.
Pocket mirror window.
But I don't think we'll see that. What we'll see is another 4 points. Soniqs, they keep screaming through their games here. Wolves, unfortunately, for the second day in a row, will have to leave tails tucked behind their legs and work out just what can be done to break the massive divide that is starting to open up in this group.
Yeah, great performance again from Soniqs. They're here to play. They are ready. Still, as always, not perfect. Still a few things for me. Refrags today. I think that's one thing they need to improve on. Definitely the go-to. Other than that, I think you can see the ideology. I think they're very light on their feet. I think quick to adapt. That's what wins you championships. It's why Brazil was so dominant for a long time, was because they had that play style. Joy to watch. Love seeing this team.
I mean, a lot of other teams probably disagree right now. I think this is the thing. And it's fair to say Soniqs were always going to be one of the top contenders of this. Everyone expected them to do well. You ask a lot of NA fans, they're the #1 seed. You ask a lot of people that watch NA, they're the #1 seed. And that was even with the question mark of one of the biggest roster moves that came into this.
Of course.
One of the most sort of notable ones. It's
been the biggest roster move we've had in the past 2 years, yeah.
In your world, it's Messi going to PSG. It's that sort of level of a change. And it's working. And that's scary.
Scary.
Final words?
I think Wolves really need to dig themselves deep here, and I think they need to... I think you could see... Sometimes I think that they fell back into their old ways, but I think it was better progression. I think they were light on their feet again today. I think they were playing their players the way they should be. Kind of rat plays, working well, get some quick picks here or there. I just need to see more of that. I think it was working for them whenever they did it, but they didn't do it all the time.
Well, we'll go to a quick break before we're back with Milos and X and some other guy on the desk to break that down.
I'm Nicholas Mortson, but you know me as Pingu. I'm a 2-time Rainbow Six Siege World Champion and former top Rainbow Six Siege player in Pro League. Welcome to my Siege Ranked Bootcamp. We're talking 20 seconds left on the clock, you got the diffuser in hand, what do you do? Play the way that you're comfortable with, because you have confidence when you're in this position, that is when you're gonna be at your very best. Good luck.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the stream. Our first matchup is done for day 2, and would you believe it? It's a 2-0.
I'd believe it.
I believe it.
I mean, you were casting it. How was that, actually?
Yeah.
Casting with Emmy is a lot of fun, is it not?
Yeah, I just like casting.
Okay.
It's just me.
Why are you here? Okay, Soniqs 2-0ing Wolves in this case. Now, Wolves, at least in map 2, had some sort of a comeback, but I want to focus on map 1 first and go through that. So, Demo Lad, help me out. What happened in map 1?
Obviously, Kafe was a bit of a weird one that we even said, how's this going to play out? I think Wolves, they adopted the play style of, there's a few moments where they did kind of fall back into, play to your strengths, play to your mobilities, play to your P4s, play the rat, strategies. Main thing for me for Wolves was they just could not hold a retake to save their lives. They could not hold down Diffuser. Getting the plants down, sure, which is what we expect from Wolves. There's a great coordinated team. They can get the plant down, but if you can't hold it, what's the point?
Sure.
What's the point? You're losing retakes. You're losing flank protection. A lot of times I'm just sitting there scratching my head going, how is this allowed to happen? You're telling me you're the team that has the massive list, the recipe for success, and you've forgotten flank protection.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to make a cake without your eggs.
It's a piece of cake to bake a pretty cake.
He done this the last time I mentioned cakes. This is deja vu. We done this last time.
You know the reference? Come on.
He doesn't. He's like, I don't know, 45, but I guess.
I'm also like 75.
No, you're not 45. No.
Was it something town?
Lazy.
I don't remember. Lazy Town. There you go. Thank you. See? Got him. Anyways, what happened there? Because, look, you talked about Wolves, but for Soniqs, they just kept up the momentum from yesterday, Ollie.
They did. We've not seen Soniqs play Kafe in a very long time. 2021 is the last time that we saw Soniqs play Kafe. And because of that, who knows what you to expect? However, they played Kafe really well. On Kafe, you have to play a lot of retake strategies, hence why we saw a lot of plants going down from Wolves. They were able to get the plant down in all bar 1 of their attacking rounds. So 5 out of the 6 rounds they got the plant down. That doesn't happen by accident. That happens because Soniqs let them get the plant down and then play for the retake. It's one of the key components of defending on Kafe. Something else that Soniqs did really well for on Kafe was fighting from behind. The opening pick went to Wolves in every occasion. It went to them 8 out of the 10 rounds played. Wolves were fighting from a man ahead, and yet they still
sometimes
lose.
2 men ahead, by the way.
I will take you back to SI21 Sandbox. All the way then.
Take us back.
Take us back.
Was it Sandbox or CAG?
You're taking us back.
Pretty sure it was CAG.
It was CAG? There you go. It was CAG. And Cyclops Athlete Gaming, same thing. Always opening, always getting a man advantage, and then even in 5v3s, losing it out. And that's unfortunately how things were on map 1. But we went to our second one in this series. That was Skyscraper, which was a surprise to see also. Again, we talked about the map ends, that there's some, not iffy, but kind of oddities being thrown in there. And Sky, Wolves looked a bit more comfortable. They looked happy. I saw smiles on their face. But Soniqs are always quick to respond, Demo.
Yeah, for me, I think Soniqs come into the mindset of Skyscraper is, let's just do it very generic. I wouldn't say there was anything flashy from the get-go. They went for their sweeps. I think they struggled in terms of actually figuring out, okay, utility management was an issue. I think, honestly, for both teams, I think the utility management wasn't the greatest. Soniqs, probably the first round, really, really slow, but that never happened again. Once they got that first round of their system, they realized the pace that they need to pick up to against Wolves, and from there, they didn't really have a struggle whenever it comes to those attacks again.
It was a very similar story on the opening picks as well. We saw that Wolves did really well on their defensive rounds, getting that opening pick. It didn't translate, however, into their attacks. And if you remember, at the start of this desk, right when we were doing the pre-game for this game, I said I am worried about Wolves on the attack on this map of Skyscraper. It is a very low preference map for them. They did all right on the defense. They picked up 3 rounds. They got an even split of the spoils. However, when we got onto that second half, they were only successful twice in picking up those attacking rounds.
Lead.
It was a good lead that they were having as well. You looked at it and we were thinking, we could be going to all 3 here.
It comes back to the point of Soniqs and just going to run. Just, you give them just 1 round and that's enough for the snowball to start.
Yep. When Mowgli and P4 are supposed to be more of your spearheads on the team, are not really able to get kills, it's a problem. Plus, let's keep in mind, and we talked about this demo, you mentioned this especially when we started the show today, it's all about flexibility, playing the rat game, as you put it in honestly very real terms. When you have to play like Koi were doing yesterday, for example, where there's 3 drones ahead of a player, that's an issue, because you used to do that 3 or 4 years ago. That's Revolut. People don't do that anymore because it's too slow. It's not adaptive enough.
It's not, and that's where Wolves got stuck in the mud, and they really got caught out there today. And I think it's a little bit of a shame looking at it, because on the balance of things, you could have sat there and you could have gone, well, I'd like to see these two play Oregon, because it's very familiar territory for both of them. In the maps that we've seen them play, we've seen some players looking a little bit uncomfortable. But Soniqs, for me, I think they did a much better job of dealing with the Azami being available.
That was a big one, yeah.
One of the bans that was brought on both maps from Soniqs was the Solace ban.
Solace, yeah.
And obviously Solace being a new operator, it's already seen a lot of play in Play Day 1. There's so many I love it personally.
Yes.
But it's such a fun operator to use, and there are so many things that you can do with it. To see that now banned, whereas before you would maybe look at something like an Azami ban and think, Skyscraper Azami ban, probably not a bad choice. That then being open, it slowed Wolves down to a crawl.
It works really well if you think about the way Wolves play, which is they play a lot of Solace. They're happy enough to play that operator. But look at what Soniqs were doing. Look at Citizen on the Nuke. Solace is a great operator for seeing where, kind of Nukes, Jackals, IQs are, because you can see the gadget. But being able then to take that away, it just opens up Citizen to do what he done well. And he dropped 13 kills, Ollie. 13 and 5.
Well, there it is. That gives us a pretty tough time for the Wolves, who have not been able to, at least Wolves Esports specifically here, from Wolverhampton, as I would call it. I used to call them the Wolverhampton Wolves.
Actually called the Wanderers, I believe.
The Wanderers, yes. Amy looked at me in a certain way, and she's like, well, honestly, they should change it to the Wanderers, because they're wondering what happened in the game.
They're wondering about headless chickens at some points as well, I think, for Wolves. So every way you look at it, I think Wolves now, for me, you're in the hot seat.
You're in the hot seat.
You're worried now, because it's not even the case of they're losing the games. They're not even getting points. They're not even getting maps.
Exactly. And, Dire Wolves are in dire straits also, but they started their game day
they've got a game in hand.
Exactly. So there's an extra one that could be worked out with. Is if Wolves were able to collect, 1 point today and 1 point yesterday, that would have been a massive deal for them. But yes, Skyscraper ended the way that it did. And what I'm curious about is the MVP. Now, we're going to talk about that in a second, at least in specific numbers. But for you two, if you had to pick your own MVP, who would it be in this game?
Should we say it at the same time? Should we say it at the same time? 1, 2, 3, Ben.
Citizen.
Oh, you didn't say Ben.
You know him a bit better than I do.
Well, he calls him Ben because...
As if you don't know him. You've grown up watching this guy. That's how you've grown up.
And here he is. He is indeed our MVP. And look at this. The first time, the highest KD ratio we've ever seen. 134 kill death ratio.
The Marcus Rashford celebration.
The man is a machine. He's breaking it. Can you even get 134 kills in a BO3?
It's unbelievable. I don't think it's possible. It can't be possible, can it?
Mathematically impossible.
We've already said that we don't do math.
And we call up Spencer for that, for double checking it.
I could spend a lot of time talking about this guy.
I know.
I won't do it today. We've got plenty of time for that.
Thank God.
He's just, I don't have words.
Something that we highlighted Citizen for, and this isn't a dig, but something that we highlighted him for at the top of the show was his entry. His entry was fantastic yesterday, +5 on the entry. I think that Soniqs got demolished on the entry today by the Wolves, and Soniqs have come away with the points, so it doesn't really matter. But on the entry, it really was somewhere that they quite struggled.
And the refrags today as well for me. That was the biggest thing.
But Citizen there getting highlighted. I mean, he did have the best game today. I don't think there's any two ways about it. Geo as well for me, and a couple of really big rounds.
Guy's a myth. The way this guy's playing Siege, I can't believe it. The way that he's going into engagements, he shouldn't be winning. He wins them. He's tanking nades. Did you see the nade he tanked?
Yes, he had like 1 HP. There's no way he tanks that much damage just sitting in the trophy room. I just can't believe that happened. I screamed at the monitor. I just can't believe it. Anyways, the man is made out of something else. Maybe shrapnel resistant. Something we need to check. But for the Sonic fans out there, tomorrow they're taking a break because they played 2 days in a row. They'll be back on the 10th, which is in 46 hours from now. They'll be playing M&M. So look forward to that game. I'm very excited for it. But for their opponents, Wolves, they play Dire Wolves tomorrow. So good luck to the casters that'll be going through it. I don't know if we want to show the group here for our A stream. Can put it up on the screen if we have the time. No. We'll do it later. Don't worry about it. Thank you so much. We will be back because our stream just ended on our second matchup. So we'll recap that in just a sec.